Chapter 1426. The injuries on Su Yiren's body and soul had faded, and the sacred source life form, the absolute love poppy, had also recovered. Su Yiren was now at her peak. However, the dirt and blood scabs still remained on her body. Su Yiren's injuries were being healed by the vitality energy. The infected cells would die quickly and eventually turn into thick water and be discharged from the body. This caused Su Yiren's body to be sticky, as if her clothes were stuck to her body. In addition, these filthy things emitted an unpleasant smell. Su Yiren could not help but frown. Su Yiren moved her body uncomfortably and subconsciously took a few steps back, putting some distance between her and Lin Yuan. It was as if she was afraid that Lin Yuan would smell the smell on her body. Lin Yuan raised his eyebrows and said, "The most important thing for you now is to take a bath and clean up your body. Right now, the most urgent thing for you is to take a shower and clean up your body. Let's go to the main city area and find Central Tree Castle. You can also help these two little fellows clean up. When you're done, we'll have a good talk." Su Yiren hurriedly nodded. Su Yiren's loyalty oath to Lin Yuan was because she recognized reality. She chose the most advantageous way to deal with it in the future. It was not because Su Yiren's self-esteem had been washed away during this period of struggling to survive in the Divine Wood Federation. If Su Yiren was here covered in filth and had a face-to-face conversation with Lin Yuan, Su Yiren was a little embarrassed. Lin Yuan was able to find out what she was thinking through some small actions. His act of taking the initiative to think for her warmed Su Yiren's heart. It might not be an unbearable thing to work under such a person. Just as Su Yiren was about to thank him, a squeaking sound came. A small mouse less than the size of a palm came out of the pile of fallen leaves not far from Su Yiren and came to a broken branch. It looked around with a very vigilant expression. After confirming that Lin Yuan and the others were far enough away, the mouse lifted the broken branch that it had just picked up. Lin Yuan's eyes lit up when he saw this mouse. This mouse looked exactly the same as the flowery branch mouse that Lin Yuan had encountered when he had first come to the Divine Wood Federation. The amber button-shaped source sand fell from Lin Yuan's sleeve and burrowed into the ground. Then, the gravel formed a silk thread and wrapped the flower branch rat tightly. Lin Yuan brought the flower branch rat in front of him and looked at its panicked appearance. Lin Yuan circulated his spiritual power, and an undetectable trace of spirit qi appeared in his palm to appease the panicking flower branch rat. This pure spiritual qi caused the flower branch rat to quickly calm down. Even if Lin Yuan got the source sand to remove its control over the flowery branch rat, the source sand wouldn't be able to control it. The flower branch rat was still on Lin Yuan's palm and wasn't willing to leave. Lin Yuan was not in a hurry to enhance this flower branch rat. Although Su Yiren had sworn an oath of loyalty to him and had become someone he could trust, Su Yiren was not someone he could trust. However, there were some things that Su Yiren did not need to know. When Su Yiren saw that Lin Yuan was very interested in this flower branch rat, she hurriedly said, "Sir, there are many kinds of rats that are commonly seen in the abandoned city. This mouse with brown fur is a kind of mouse that likes to live alone. It usually moves alone and feeds on plant leaves and fruits. In the abandoned city, this kind of rat will not spread diseases. During the time I've been in the abandoned city, I've seen this kind of mouse at least 20 to 30 times." Su Yiren was a little puzzled. She did not understand why Lin Yuan would be interested in this kind of mouse that was not even considered a fey. In Su Yiren's eyes, this kind of mouse was a worthless existence. If it was really valuable, the Divine Wood Federation's native nobles would not allow this kind of mouse to spread in the abandoned city. When he heard Su Yiren's words, Lin Yuan's eyes lit up. From the reaction of the bandit scouts, Lin Yuan had guessed that this kind of flower branch rat should be very common. He did not expect that the flower branch rat would be so rampant in the abandoned city. It was no wonder that the scout had a look of contempt when he saw this flower branch rat standing on his shoulder. However, the proliferation of flower branch rats was good news for Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan waved his hand and summoned Black, and he flew toward the direction of the main city with Lu Jia, Ji Feng, Xiao Hua, Xiao Chao, and Su Yiren. Black's flying speed was extremely fast, and in a moment, they arrived at the site of a tree fortress in the main city. Ji Feng immediately rented the entire tree fortress. The tree fortress that Lin Yuan chose was a luxurious family-style tree fortress. The entire tree fortress was not divided into layers. Inside the tree fortress, there was a huge living room, and next to it were several bedrooms. It was mostly used as a venue for the Divine Wood Federation's native nobles to hold banquets. When Su Yuan entered the tree fortress, she did not even have time to drink a mouthful of water. She wanted to rush into the bathroom with Xiao Hua and Xiao Chao. At that moment, Su Yuan was stopped by Lin Yuan. "Su Yuan, do you have a change of clothes there? If not, I have some fabric here. You can do some simple sewing." Upon hearing that, Su Yuan raised her wrist. Lin Yuan saw that on Su Yuan's wrist was a golden disc the size of a coin. Lin Yuan was very familiar with the appearance of this golden disc. It was basically the same as the golden disc that he had seized in the Class 3 Abyss Dimensional Rift in the royal capital's suburbs. However, the golden disc on Su Yuan's wrist was much smaller than the one that Lin Yuan had seized. It was also more exquisite. At first, Lin Yuan had thought that the people of the Dark Continent had set their sights on the Radiance Federation. However, later, in the Indigo Azure City's coastal area, in the upgraded Water World Dimensional Rift, Lin Yuan knew that all of this was a conspiracy of the 7th Page War in the Tower Cannon. According to the investigation of Su Yuan's life experience when she joined the Celestial Council, Lin Yuan knew that the Dark Seven States had been destroyed, and the Dark Continent had fallen into the hands of the 7th Page War. This could explain why there were so many people from the Dark Continent in the upgraded Water World Dimensional Rift. The 7th Page War's subordinates could command the Dark Continent's spirit chi professionals. It seemed that the destruction of the Dark Seven States and the fall of the Dark Continent was not as simple as the invasion of the 7th Page War. Lin Yuan did not have any plans for the Dark Continent yet. Therefore, there was no need for Lin Yuan to tell Su Yuan about the Tower Cannon and the Dark Continent. When Su Yuan saw Lin Yuan's gaze on the golden disc on her wrist, she explained to him, "This is our spatial storage equipment. This is our spatial storage equipment. It can store both living and dead things. It's about the size of 4 training fields. Previously, my spirit and soul were injured, so I couldn't open this spatial disc. But now, I can. In this spatial disc, there are many clothes that I wear every day." Upon hearing Su Yuan's words, Lin Yuan said no more. End of this chapter. Chapter 1427. Lin Yuan picked up a red soft-skinned fruit from the fruit platter and took a bite of it. He then explained Su Yuan's identity to Lu Jie, who was full of questions. Lu Jie had not joined the Heavenly Body Council, so he did not know much about Su Yuan. In addition, most of the time he had been in the Radiance Federation, he had been going to the land of spirit suppression to let the Insect Queen control the Carcinoma Fae. He had only spent a small portion of his time in the Return from Faraway Mansion. Therefore, he and Wenyu did not have the chance to tell Lu Jie about Su Yuan's situation. Ever since Lu Jie had found out that Su Yuan had a sacred source life form, he had been wondering about her identity. In Lu Jie's opinion, a person with a sacred source life form. There was no reason for her to suffer in Oak City's wasteland. There were no Class 5 creation masters in the Divine Wood Federation, and an Emperor-class expert was the Divine Wood Federation's combat power limit. Sacred source life forms were produced in Class 5 dimensional rifts. It was not easy for the Divine Wood Federation to clean up the dimensional lifeforms in Class 5 dimensional rifts and retrieve sacred source lifeforms. There should not be many sacred source lifeforms in the entire Divine Wood Federation. Su Yuan's appearance in the wasteland was too strange. Moreover, Lin Yuan seemed to have known of Su Yuan's existence and had gone straight to the wasteland. Lu Jie recognized the spatial equipment on Su Yuan's hand. It was the Dark Federation's top spatial disk. It was the Dark Federation's top spatial disk, unlike the Radiance Federation's phase storage box. After removing the spiritual imprint, others could use it at will. The Dark Federation's top spatial disk could only be opened by its contractor. Once the contractor died, the space plate would become a piece of trash. The items inside might never be taken out again. In the Dark Continent, only the true upper-class people could own such excellent space equipment with great concealment. Through this spatial disc, Lu Jie could guess that Su Yiren came from the Dark Continent. She had an extraordinary identity. Just as Lu Jie was guessing Su Yiren's identity, Lin Yuan spoke. Big brother Lu, Su Yiren was previously elected by the Dark Seven States to be the current Dark Envoy. You know the situation in the Dark Continent. Su Yiren escaped all the way to the Divine Wood Federation from there. Although Lu Jie had guessed that Su Yiren had an extraordinary background, he did not expect her to be the current Dark Envoy elected by the Seven Dark Nations. Su Yiren's identity was enough to represent the Seven Dark States and sail out of the Radiance Federation. The Seven Dark States were not strong individually, and they were not even comparable to the Divine Wood Federation. However, the combined strength of the Seven Dark States was equivalent to the combined strength of the Deep Lush Federation, the Divine Wood Federation, and the Iron Hammer Federation. More importantly, a Class 5 Creation Master had appeared in the Dark Seven States. It was the appearance of this Class 5 Creation Master that allowed the originally independent Seven Dark States to become one. The existence of Class 5 Creation Masters allowed the Dark Seven States to nurture top-notch experts. Su Yiren, who was born as a Gloom Envoy, could definitely be called a true goddess at that time. Such a heavenly genius had now become one of Lin Yuan's subordinates. Lu Jie had been a Radiance 100 sequence member for a long time and had then become a disciple of the Spirit Guard's chief guard, Night Leaning Moon. His knowledge was far beyond that of the younger generation. Therefore, Lu Jie was well aware of the benefits of Su Yiren being Lin Yuan's subordinate. In the future, if Lin Yuan wanted to target the Dark Continent, with Su Yiren around, everything Lin Yuan wanted to do would be justified. Lu Jie quickly calmed down after the initial shock. Ji Feng was still in shock and could not come back to his senses. Even though Ji Feng knew that Lin Yuan was Sky City's city lord and the Moon Empress disciple, he still did not dare to imagine that Lin Yuan could accept a Gloom Envoy as his subordinate. Ji Feng still did not dare to imagine that Lin Yuan could accept a Gloom Envoy as his subordinate. While Lin Yuan, Lu Jie, and Ji Feng were talking, Su Yiren had already led Xiao Hua and Xiao Chao to the bathroom to take a bath. After Xiao Hua and Xiao Chao were done bathing, Xiao Hua skillfully picked up the white clothes that Lin Yuan had sewn for him and Xiao Chao and carefully washed them. Upon seeing this, Su Yiren prepared to help. Xiao Hua first thanked Su Yiren and then shook his head. Instead, he took the old clothes that Su Yiren had taken off and prepared to help her wash them. Upon seeing this, Su Yiren bent over and gently pinched Xiao Hua's cheek. Big sister will not wear these clothes anymore. Su Yiren, who was in the bathroom, looked at herself in the mirror. It felt as though a lifetime had passed. A moment later, Su Yiren took out a set of dark purple spirit chi clothes from her spatial disc. This spirit chi clothes were inlaid with purple caltrip crystals. The purple caltrip crystals on the surface of the clothes made the spirit chi clothes look like armor. However, this spirit chi clothes did not look bulky in the slightest when it was cut. When the purple armor-like spirit chi clothes were worn on Su Yiren's body, a strange sense of beauty instantly exuded from her body. Before Su Yiren became a Gloom Envoy, she had already become famous in the Seven Dark States with her appearance. In the entire Seven Dark States, no man or woman dared to say that they could surpass Su Yiren in appearance. It was fine if women could not compare to Su Yiren. Men could not compare to Su Yiren because Su Yiren's appearance did not look feminine. Instead, it was full of heroic spirit. In addition, Su Yiren had always kept her hair short. This made Su Yiren look a little androgynous. Su Yiren's temperament had a lot to do with the sacred source life form, Absolute Love Poppy's ability. This kind of androgynous beauty could instantly capture the eyes of other living beings. It made the other creatures feel a sense of love and attachment towards Su Yiren. After putting on the spirit chi clothes, Su Yiren thought for a moment and took out a black fruit from her spatial disc. Then, she crushed the black fruit and squeezed out the black juice. She evenly rubbed the juice on her hair. As the black juice was evenly applied, Su Yiren's dark purple hair instantly turned black. Su Yiren had already become Lin Yuan's subordinate, and she had been observing him. Lu Jia and Ji Feng, who followed Lin Yuan, both had black hair and black eyes. Therefore, they wanted to be in step with Lin Yuan and not stand out beside him. Black hair and black eyes were the best choice. After dyeing her hair, Su Yiren took out an earring that looked like a hanging bell. She put this bell-like earring into her ear holes. The bell hanging under Su Yiren's ears swayed gently, and it would invisibly attract the attention of others. Su Yiren took a deep breath, opened the bathroom door, and walked to Lin Yuan's side. Lin Yuan, Lu Jia, and Ji Feng heard footsteps beside them and turned their heads. When they saw Su Yiren, they were stunned. At that moment, Morbius, which was on Lin Yuan's wrist, automatically used Calm Mind on Lin Yuan. End of this chapter. Chapter 1428. Calm Mind was Morbius' passive skill. When he suffered any negative effects from his mind and soul, or when external forces would affect his mind and soul, Calm Mind would automatically activate. Su Yiren had already used a lull rune to issue an allegiance oath. Naturally, he did not dare to deliberately activate the absolute love poppy's ability to seduce Lin Yuan. One of the reasons Calm Heart was triggered was because of Su Yiren's stunning beauty. On the other hand, it was also the absolute love poppy's ability that had subtly enhanced Su Yiren's temperament. Lin Yuan saw that Su Yiren was only stunned for a moment before her expression returned to normal. It could be said that Su Yiren had the most outstanding features among all the women he had seen in this life. However, a woman's beauty was not only reflected in her facial features. Lin Yuan's master, the Moon Empress, the chief guard of the spirit guards, Night Leaning Moon, and even the Bamboo Monarch's lover, Pavilion Lord Wang Fuxiang. Every one of them had elegant facial features, a distinct personality, and a temperament that had been tempered by the baptism of time. This was something that Su Yiren could not compare to in terms of looks alone. Also, the short-haired Su Yiren was too handsome. This kind of heroic appearance would greatly reduce the lethality of a straight man. After Lin Yuan came back to his senses, Lu Jia did the same. Lu Jia, who had recovered from his shock, looked at Su Yiren again. However, in terms of appearance and temperament, Lu Jia felt that Su Yiren and Lin Yuan were almost on par. Ever since he had returned to the return from faraway mansion from the Divine Wood Federation, he had made a trip to the Radiant Moon Palace. Lu Jia found that Lin Yuan's facial features were even more exquisite. His bone form became even more regular. The altered bone form allowed Lin Yuan's figure and the shape of each bone to present a kind of extreme natural beauty. It also made Lin Yuan's natural aura even purer. The natural and clean temperament that was born of nobility was even more charming than the nobility that was nurtured from a high position since childhood. Although Su Yiren's facial features were beautiful, they were not as exquisite as Lin Yuan's, who had used the geocentric jade milk. In the course of one's life, any bad habits, such as sitting lazily, would cause changes in one's bone structure. No matter how careful Su Yiren was, she could only look at the bones. There was still a certain gap between him and Lin Yuan. Lu Jia, who was used to seeing Lin Yuan, instinctively became immune to Su Yiren after seeing her at first glance. On the other hand, Ji Feng's gaze was fixed on Su Yiren for a full minute before he broke away. Of course, this couldn't be blamed entirely on Ji Feng's weak willpower. As an emperor-class expert, Ji Feng was undoubtedly much stronger than Lin Yuan and Lu Jia in terms of willpower. At the end of the day, apart from those objective factors, Lin Yuan and Lu Jia were able to return to their senses earlier than Ji Feng. Most importantly, Lin Yuan and Lu Jia had contracted sacred source life forms. The sacred source life forms in Lin Yuan and Lu Jia's souls would automatically resist Su Yiren's sacred source life form, the absolute love poppy. Although Su Yiren did not purposely reveal this seductive aura. However, this did not stop Su Yiren from determining that Lin Yuan, Lu Jia, and Ji Feng had contracted sacred source life forms. This made Su Yiren even more curious about his identity. Lin Yuan and Lu Jia were younger than him. Lu Jia treated Lin Yuan as the leader in all aspects and acted like a retainer. Even his young retainer had a sacred source life form. Su Yiren could not think of any other identity that could afford such an arrangement. Su Yiren pondered for a moment before asking Lin Yuan, "My lord, I am now your subordinate." "Sir, I am now your subordinate. You already know my identity, so I also want to know your identity. Knowing your identity before working for you will also let me know how to do things." Lin Yuan originally wanted to talk to Su Yiren about the work she would be doing in the Divine Wood Federation in the future, as well as the goal he needed to achieve in the Agon continent. Since Su Yiren had taken the initiative to speak, it saved Lin Yuan the trouble of speaking first. However, Lin Yuan did not want to take the initiative to tell Su Yiren his identity. Instead, he wanted to see if Su Yiren could guess his identity based on what he had revealed. This was also a test of Su Yiren's analytical ability. Thus, Lin Yuan spoke. "Even if you don't know our identities, I'm sure you have your own guesses." Upon hearing that, Su Yiren immediately understood what Lin Yuan meant. She knew that Lin Yuan wanted to test her. Su Yiren, who had just become Lin Yuan's subordinate, was very willing to face Lin Yuan's test. The more tests Lin Yuan gave her, the more ability she could display and be valued by Lin Yuan. She had used the Law rune to swear allegiance to Lin Yuan and signed a contract with the Corona Australia's throne in the Celestial Council. It could be said that her life and death were firmly in Lin Yuan's hands. "My lord, your hair and eyes are black, and you're on the Ahiwan main road. Logically speaking, I should have instinctively guessed that you are a member of the Deep Brahmin Federation's hidden aristocrats. However, the Deep Brahmin Federation's hidden aristocrats' method of nurturing their younger generation has always been to nurture the family's direct descendants to a certain level before sending them out to gain experience. With such a cultivation method, no disciple of a hidden clan would be worthy of 3 sacred source life forms. Also, my lord and your 2 companions' bearing is not something a member of the Deep Brahmin Federation's hidden aristocrats can have. Although I can't see anything from your eyes, my lord." When your 2 companions talked about the Divine Wood Federation, the companion who is about the same age as you only had a calm look in his eyes. But in the eyes of the older companion, there was a hint of disdain. This means that the older members on your side do not recognize the Divine Wood Federation or have an instinctive contempt for the Divine Wood Federation. In that case, according to your hair and eye colors, only the Radiance Federation, the Sand Continent Federation, and the Mother Goddess Federation, which have Class 5 Creation Masters, are suitable. But the Sand Continent Federation's entire federation is a desert environment, and the people here are blown by the sand all year round. Even if the impurities in the body are washed away, the skin will still show the unique style of the desert residents after being blown by the sand for a long time. From the moment the Mother Goddess Federation's people are born, they will use the phase blood from their head to various parts of their body. They will engrave tattoos according to their own experiences and record their life's glory and growth on their body. My lord, the 3 of you don't have tattoos, so only a powerful federation like the Radiance Federation with 3 Class 5 Creation Masters can nurture a person like you. Chapter 1429. Su Yiren paused for a moment before continuing. "I have also guessed that you might be a member of some powerful organization, such as the Pagoda Canon. But if you really came from a secret organization, you wouldn't have asked me to guess your identity. If you were born in the Pagoda Canon, you wouldn't be looking for me to save me. It's to kill me, to cut the weeds and eliminate the roots." Lin Yuan nodded approvingly at Su Yiren. Then, he threw out his second question. "What do you think I should do if I want to integrate the resources of the Divine Wood Federation and the Iron Hammer Federation?" Su Yiren's pupils constricted at his words. He did not expect Lin Yuan to have such a big scheme. Based on the contact he had with the flowers and grass earlier, Su Yiren knew that Lin Yuan was not a cold-blooded person through her conversation with Xiao Hua and Xiao Chao. Thus, when she gave her suggestion, Su Yiren deliberated for a while before speaking. "I think you can take the same path as the Deep Vendor Federation and use the Chamber of Commerce to absorb the resources of the Divine Wood Federation and the Iron Hammer Federation. At the same time, this method will be more acceptable to the people of the Divine Wood Federation and the Iron Hammer Federation. They might even thank you instead." At this point, Zhou Yiren added. It's just that if I want to establish a merchant association, recruit caravans, and open branches in various large cities, I will need a lot of energy. Milord, if you don't have time, you can choose a small merchant association in the Deep Burn Federation to support. Secondly, you can leave this matter to me. I will definitely make this matter as beautiful as possible. Su Yiren's thoughts coincided with Lin Yuan's. However, Lin Yuan did not think as far ahead as Su Yiren. However, Su Yiren's suggestion of supporting a small chamber of commerce was indeed a feasible solution. The Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's attitude toward the caravan made Lin Yuan realize that it was simply impossible to rely on the caravan to obtain unlimited supplies from the Chamber of Commerce. The Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce had stolen the merchant caravan, and he had coincidentally discovered it. There was no guarantee that the same thing wouldn't happen to other chambers of commerce. Therefore, supporting a small chamber of commerce was not a bad idea. This made Lin Yuan think of the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce. The Flourishing Chamber of Commerce wasn't small, so it didn't need to start from scratch. The Flourishing Chamber of Commerce had indeed encountered a problem. It wasn't impossible for the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce to be supported. As for letting Su Yiren establish a Chamber of Commerce, he had never thought about it. In his opinion, letting Su Yiren, the current Dark Envoy, establish the Chamber of Commerce was a waste of her talents. He still had to develop the Swamp World later. On the Divine Wood Federation's side, he could not always stay in the underground palace and do everything by himself. Lin Yuan needed someone who could do things for him. This man was a perfect fit for the Zoe. With Zol's talent, the Iron Hoof tribe was able to divide their territory and build a large city. Zoel could also help Trey. Lin Yuan had only asked Genius to transmit the Class 1 Creation Master's knowledge into Trey's mind. He had never checked Trey's talent in real life. If Trey's talent was outstanding enough, Lin Yuan could nurture him and let him become a member of the Hammer 100 sequence. He even pushed Trey to the position of Iron Hammer Envoy. As for whether he could succeed or not, it would depend on whether Trey's talent and strength were sufficient. Apart from Lin Yuan and Wen Yu, the Celestial Council only had 4 members. Zuiren and Talay had already met up with him in reality. As an Azure Envoy, Yin Lin would represent the Azure Federation in setting sail for Radiance. As long as Lin Yuan wanted to meet Yin Lin, he would naturally be able to. As for Bei Su, Lin Yuan was still a little confused about the cave continent where Bei Su was currently. The books on the Hui Yao's side had never mentioned the cave continent. This meant that there was either no federation on the cave continent, or the cave continent's federation had never participated in the main world's grand event, the Myriad Nations Convention. Therefore, if Lin Yuan wanted to meet Bei Su in the future, he would have to rely on Bei Su to walk out of the cave continent himself. Otherwise, Lin Yuan would have to use the ethereal jellyfish's central tentacle to open a spatial tunnel from the Divine Wood Federation to the cave continent after storing enough walnuts. Lin Yuan had yet to make a decision on what to choose. Zuiren had been waiting for Lin Yuan's answer. She, who had just become Lin Yuan's subordinate, urgently needed to prove herself. However, Zuiren did not expect Lin Yuan to be in a hurry to assign her a task. Instead, she said with interest, "I'm a little interested in your sacred source life forms. Would you mind summoning your sacred source life forms and main phase for me to see?" Zuiren waved her hand without hesitation. She summoned her 4 main phase at the same time. Lin Yuan was a little dazed when he saw her summon her 4 main phase. Lin Yuan did not expect Su Yiren's 4 main phase to be identical plant phase with bright red flowers. Looking at the appearance of these 4 plant phase, they should all be poppy plant phase. Upon seeing Lin Yuan looking curiously at her phase, Zuiren explained, "My 4 main phase are all love framing poppies. My 4 main phase are all love framing poppies." Zuiren seemed to think of something, and her expression became a little sad. Then, she said frankly, "My situation is a little special. My situation is a little special. Others contract a Fae first before contracting a sacred source life form. As for me, I first formed a contract with a sacred source life form before forming a contract with a Fae. I contract these 4 love framing poppies to enhance the sacred source life form, the absolute love poppy's ability. My grandmother is the only class 5 creation master in the 7 dark states. She fed me the precious glacier essence since I was young and used its power to temper my soul power. When I was 5 years old, I used up all 3 portions of the glacier essence. Grandma waited for another 3 years. When I was 8, she let me try to form a connection with a sacred source life form. Coincidentally, I succeeded. Since then, my combat style has always been centered around the sacred source life form. I also use phase to support the sacred source life form in combat. Lin Yuan, Lu Jie, and Ji Feng secretly clicked their tongues when they heard Zuiren's words. It seemed like Zuiren was undoubtedly the noblest among the 5 dark envoys in the 7 dark states. However, Zuiren's method of contracting phase was really strange. It could not be said that this strange method was weak. On the contrary, it was this strange method that allowed Zuiren to be able to reach her current age. Without activating the sacred source life form's ability, she was able to affect a pinnacle emperor-class expert like Ji Feng. This was enough to prove that Zuiren's method of contracting phase was a success. Lin Yuan recalled Zuiren's memories that he had checked. No wonder Zuiren had dared to single-handedly find trouble with the 7th page of war. Chapter 1430. Speaking of people who could contract the same Fei, Lin Yuan had seen them before. After Lin Yuan had opened the Brahma insect cage channel, Lu Pinru had relied on her spiritual energy to contract nearly 20 lustrous weaver silkworms. Now, when Lu Pinru was fighting, she could take out a piece of clothing from the large wardrobe on her back every second. As Lu Pinru contracted more and more lustrous weaver silkworms, the wardrobe on her back also grew bigger. In addition to continuing to contract lustrous weaver silkworms and designing spirit chi clothing with Wenyu, Lu Pinru was also working out. Otherwise, Lu Pinru might not be able to carry the large wardrobe on her back when she needed to fight. In addition, if Lin Yuan had not been nurturing the spirit spring lily, there happened to be a spirit spring lily that had mutated into a yellow spring lily. Then Gao Feng would have contracted 3 of the same spirit spring lilies. However, if all of them were contracted, Gao Feng might not have the opportunity to become His Majesty's disciple. Lin Yuan used Morbius True Data to check the 4 love-seizing poppies that Suiren had summoned. He found that the 4 love-seizing poppies' bronze exclusive skills were exactly the same. They were all yearning passion. Yearning passion, make other targets involuntarily have a good impression of you, resulting in love. When the love reaches a certain level, it will engrave a love imprint in the heart, spirit, and soul at the same time, using the love imprint to control the target. Obviously, these 4 love-seizing poppies had been carefully selected before contracting. The existence of these 4 love-seizing poppies was to complement the sacred source life form, absolute love poppy. Therefore, these 4 love-seizing poppies did not have any special abilities. To know how strong Suiren was, he had to see the sacred source life form's ability. After summoning the 4 love-seizing poppies, Suiren raised her hand. A large, flirtatious, pink poppy appeared in her palm. At that moment, Suiren's eyes turned a beautiful pink. Suiren's pink eyes glowed with a bright light. The surrounding environment was filled with a charming and gentle pink color. Love quickly grew in such an atmosphere. Princess in Lin Yuan's soul and the sacred source life form in Lu Jie's soul both released the aura that belonged to sacred source life forms. He did his best to resist this energy that could quickly breed love. However, Ji Feng's attention was completely focused on the absolute love poppy in Suiren's hands. Seeing this, Suiren hurriedly whipped Ji Feng's head with the absolute love poppy. Only then did Ji Feng wake up from this atmosphere. Ji Feng, who had just woken up, felt a lingering fear and embarrassment at the same time. Ji Feng could feel that if he was really affected by the absolute love poppy in Suiren's hands, he would not be able to suppress the love in his heart. In that case, he would be bound by this strong love and become a puppet controlled by love. After hitting Ji Feng with the absolute love poppy, Suiren hurriedly tried her best to control the absolute love poppy's ability. He was afraid that the absolute love poppy's ability would affect Ji Feng. Lin Yuan and Lu Jia looked at each other and saw the disbelief in each other's eyes. The sacred source lifeforms in Lin Yuan and Lu Jia's souls could feel the pressure from the absolute love poppy. And this was with Zoel trying her best to control herself. One could imagine that Zol's absolute love poppy's star would not be low. He immediately used Morbius True Data to check Zol's sacred source lifeform, absolute love poppy. Lin Yuan's eyes widened when he saw it. Sacred source name, absolute love poppy, sacred source species, source family/sacred source species, sacred source star class, 6 stars, sacred source type, spirit, soul/psychic functions frowny face love desire glass. Through the triple effects of the mind, spirit, and soul, the target will develop a strong sense of love. The love will produce a glass filled with love desire in the target's energy core. When the glass shatters, the target will sacrifice the energy core in its body to stimulate its combat power. When the energy core is exhausted, the target will lose its life. 14 millet fruit, contracts with 14 lifeforms of the same gender and species as the contractor and implants a cardamom-sized millet fruit from the absolute love poppy into their bodies. The target will inherit a small portion of the absolute love poppy's ability and change the target's appearance and body shape. The millet fruit implanted in the target's body will automatically absorb the love attracted by the target and transfer the love to the absolute love poppy to increase its star class. Lin Yuan did not expect Zol's sacred source life form, the absolute love poppy, to have a 6-star star class. 6 star was the limit of a sacred source life form's growth period. It only needed one more star class for Zol's sacred source life form to reach 7 star. When it reached adulthood, it would obtain a third ability. In addition to its star class, Lin Yuan also discovered that the absolute love poppy was a sacred source life form of the mind, soul, and mind. The mind controlled the mind, the soul controlled the consciousness, and the mind controlled the thoughts. Each of the control abilities could exert powerful control on the target. In other words, the absolute love poppy could control the target from the 3 levels of mind, soul, and mind. It was not an exaggeration to say that Zol's sacred source life form, the absolute love poppy, had the strongest control ability among all the sacred source life forms that Lin Yuan had seen. The absolute love poppy's current 2 abilities, love desire glass, and 14 millet fruit, were derived from the foundation of control. After the love desire glass controlled the target through love, it could also shatter the glass to burn the target's potential. It allowed the target to instantly burst out with combat power that far exceeded normal. It could be said that Zoel could control all spirit chi professionals in the world if she was strong enough. It could become her weapon of attack or defense. At critical moments, Zoel could also self-destruct the weapon to make the weapon's attack or defense stronger. With just the love desire glass ability, Zoel was qualified to sit firmly on the throne of the Dark Envoy. As for the absolute love poppy's second ability, the 14 millet fruit, it seemed to be a method to quickly increase the absolute love poppy's star class. This ability explained why Zol's sacred source life form, the absolute love poppy, could reach 6 stars so quickly. However, in Lin Yuan's opinion, the 14 millet fruit's ability was far from that simple. On the contrary, the 14 millet fruit was even more terrifying than the love desire glass. Zoel chose 14 spirit chi professionals and nurtured them into the 14 millet fruit. This meant that Zoel had 14 clones. These 14 clones were scattered around and could collect love for Zoel in a large area. This method of controlling the target through love was similar to the dimensional world's method of controlling the target through faith. 166 Reading Network. Chapter 1431. Su Yuan had used the absolute love poppy to create a miniature dimension. In this miniature dimension, Zhou Yuan was the high and mighty ruler. The spirit chi professionals that Su Yuan had nurtured into the 14 millet fruits could be seen as 14 apostles. As long as Su Yuan was given enough time, there would be enough living beings that would be attracted to Su Yuan and devote their love to her. Su Yuan's sacred source life form, the absolute love poppy, would rapidly increase in strength. Lin Yuan, who had seen through the absolute love poppy's nature, felt that Su Yuan was a dangerous treasure. If Suyuran had not sworn an oath of loyalty, he would have viewed her as a dangerous person that he was extremely wary of. Let me recommend you the reading app that I've been using recently. There are many sources of books, and the books are complete. It's updated quickly. If not for Suyuran's soul being injured and absolute love Poppy on the verge of death. Suyuran, who had escaped to the Divine Wood Federation, even had the ability to use the absolute love Poppy's ability to overthrow the Divine Wood Federation and even the entire Haiwan continent. If Suyuran had not woken Ji Feng up. As a martial emperor, Ji Feng had probably already condensed the colored glass of love in his body. It became a handy weapon in Suyuran's hands. Ji Feng's performance allowed Lin Yuan to understand Suyuran's strength and the importance of sacred source life forms. Ji Feng was one of them, even though he had not been Lin Yuan's subordinate for long. However, Ji Feng had already made a great contribution to the return from faraway manor. If not for Ji Feng's prediction, Lin Yuan would not have made preparations in advance. It was very likely that he would miss out on an auspicious item like the Swallow of Good Fortune. Ji Feng's prediction was equivalent to adding a permanent luck buff to the people of Return from Faraway Manor. With that in mind, Lin Yuan took out the sacred source life form he had won from Anha from the diamond face storage box. He casually handed the sacred source life form to Ji Feng and said, "Don't worry. Ji Feng, form a contract with this sacred source life form. No matter what sacred source life form you obtain after the contract, you will have the ability to resist against another expert who also possesses a sacred source life form." Lin Yuan's words shocked both Suyuran and Ji Feng. Immediately after, Ji Feng felt a warm current in his heart. This warm current rushed to the top of his head, causing Ji Feng's eyes to become a little moist. 10 years ago, Ji Feng had also obtained an uncontracted sacred source life form. However, before Ji Feng could form a contract with the sacred source life form, the Sea Sky progeny fell into the 10,000 Flags progeny's trap. The sacred source life form that Ji Feng had stored in the diamond face storage box had naturally been taken by the Myriad Flags lineage. After 10 years of fleeing, Ji Feng, the former young master of the Sea Sky clan, had turned into a middle-aged man in dire straits. Ji Feng had never hoped that he would be able to contract a sacred source life form in his lifetime. He had done nothing because Lin Yuan had seen him being affected by Suyuran's sacred source life form. Without another word, Lin Yuan bestowed a sacred source life form to himself. Ji Feng felt that he was truly unable to repay such kindness. The words "a scholar would die for a bosom friend" seemed so powerless in front of Lin Yuan. He had already owed Lin Yuan a life and had yet to repay it. Ji Feng lowered his head and took the sacred source life form from Lin Yuan. At that moment, Ji Feng's thoughts had changed. The original agreement between Ji Feng and Lin Yuan was to stay by Lin Yuan's side for 3 years. Once the 3 years were up, Ji Feng would be free to leave Lin Yuan's side and seek revenge on the Whale Ocean Trading Company. In his heart, Ji Feng had already extended the 3 years indefinitely. Ji Feng had decided to stay by Lin Yuan's side for as long as he was alive. He would predict Lin Yuan's misfortune and fulfill his duty as a subordinate. When his life ended, he would seek revenge on the Myriad Flags progeny. Suyuran fixed her gaze on Lin Yuan. After a long time, Suyuran still had a look of disbelief. Suyuran really wanted to ask Lin Yuan what he thought the sacred source life form was. Why did he give it to his subordinate so casually? It was as if he was rewarding a source-type life form. Suyuran was pleasantly surprised by Lin Yuan's reward for Ji Feng. Since Lin Yuan was so generous to his subordinates, she had to work hard by his side. Would she be able to receive enough rewards to increase her strength? Suyuran was currently only a Class 3 Creation Master. Suyuran's grandmother was a Class 5 Creation Master and had been doing her best to teach Suyuran. Unfortunately, Suyuran did not have much talent as a Creation Master. In addition, Suyuran's contracted 4 love-seizing poppies had increased her strength to suzerain and quality to Myth I. When she reached Myth 2, the love-seizing poppies wanted to quickly increase her strength in a short time. It was inevitable that law crystals would be used. If her grandmother was still around, Su Yiren would not have to worry about law crystals. However, her grandmother had died at the hands of the Seventh Page War. Su Yiren could only rely on Lin Yuan now. If Lin Yuan did not plan to put her in an important position in the future and did not pour resources for her, only letting her work for development, her talent would undoubtedly be wasted. Slowly, Min Ran and the others. Su Yiren was filled with hatred for the Tower Cannon and the mission of reviving the Seven Dark States. Su Yiren, who was used to being a prodigy, would have her talent obliterated and become an ordinary spirit chi professional. This was worse than killing Su Yiren. Just as Su Yiren was about to think of a way to fight for Lin Yuan, Su Yiren heard Lin Yuan speak. Your sacred source life form, absolute love poppy, is very powerful. Among the two functions, 14th millet fruit has great development potential. Do you have any thoughts on developing 14th millet fruit? When Su Yiren heard Lin Yuan's words, she looked at Lin Yuan with shock again. Lin Yuan's identity as a creation master did not surprise Su Yiren. However, an ordinary creation master would not be able to see through a Class 6 sacred source life form. How old was Lin Yuan? In order to see through the abilities of a Class 6 sacred source life form, one would need to be at least a Class 4 creation master. Even a Class 4 creation master would need to observe for a long time. It was impossible for them to be like Lin Yuan, who could see through it at a glance. Furthermore, he understood it so clearly. Based on common sense, Su Yiren would not even think of Lin Yuan as a Class 4 or 5 creation master. A 17 or 18-year-old Class 4 creation master had never appeared in the entire Seven Dark States. Even Su Yiren's grandmother, the only Class 5 creation master in the Seven Dark States. She had only become a Class 4 creation master in her 20s. Therefore, Su Yiren subconsciously thought that Lin Yuan's sacred source life form had the ability to detect. Su Yiren could not help but feel a little sorry for Lin Yuan. A sacred source life form with probing abilities was undoubtedly much weaker than a sacred source life form with offensive abilities or special abilities. Su Yiren knew that Lin Yuan would ask her questions. It meant that Lin Yuan planned to let her develop 14th millet fruit. 166 Reading Network. Chapter 1432. Su Yiren already had a plan for this. Zhou Yiren said. Before the Seventh Page War attacked the Seven Dark States, I chose 14 spirit chi professionals and nurtured the 14 millet fruits. But under the attack of Seventh Page War's Ash Squad, the 14 millet fruits were all killed before they could grow. Otherwise, Absolute Love Poppy's star level would at least be at the peak of 6 stars. It's not impossible for me to advance to 7 star. I won't be stuck at the initial 6-star stage. The entertainment of the Divine Wood Federation is more than singing and dancing, and the Iron Hammer Federation is very fond of the dancers of the Divine Wood Federation. The singers and actresses of the Divine Wood Federation are all popular superstars in the Iron Hammer Federation. I want to build all the 14 millet fruits that I have developed into Song'an dance girls and establish a love paradise in the cities of the Divine Wood Federation and the Iron Hammer Federation respectively. Every love hall has a 14th millet fruit. Under the transformation of the Absolute Love Poppy, the 14 millet fruits have stunning beauty and graceful postures. With the 14th millet fruit's song and dance, I was able to gather a large amount of love, allowing my Absolute Love Poppy's star rank to rise rapidly. Zhou Yiren paused. Then, he looked at Lin Yuan with burning eyes and said, "Come on. The world-shocking bet between the Radiance Federation and the Freedom Federation in 2 years will be witnessed by all living beings in the origin world. If we follow the method I mentioned just now, sir, I am confident that I can raise the Absolute Love Poppy's star level to 10 stars within 2 years. At that time, the Absolute Love Poppy will be able to trigger a celestial phenomenon. I think I can follow by your side during the world-shocking gamble 2 years later and be your secret weapon." After saying that, Su Yiren added another sentence. "The 14th millet fruit absorbs love, but it won't create glass in the target's body. Don't worry, my lord. I won't do anything to those who devote their love to me." From Su Yiren's words, he knew that she had already guessed that he was a Radiance envoy. Lin Yuan wasn't one now, but he did plan to fight for it a year later. Lin Yuan did not confirm or deny Zou's words. If Su Yiren used this method to let the 14th millet fruit absorb her love, as long as it did not affect the people who had contributed their love, Zhou Yiren could do that. Currently, Lin Yuan's strongest expert was Bai Yan, whose strength had reached the peak of Immortal Realm. However, even though Bai Yan's power had reached the peak of Immortal Realm, he couldn't trigger a celestial phenomenon. The city in the sky indeed needed an expert who could trigger a celestial phenomenon. In the short term, this position was most suitable for Zoel to fill. Lin Yuan nodded at Su Yiren. In these 2 years, I will train you. Including the 4 myth I love framing poppies in your hands. With that, Lin Yuan tossed a heavy brocade pouch to Su Yiren. He stood up and said, "Right now, all of Oak City's local powers should be talking about us. We will make a trip to the Flourishing Prosperity Merchant Association first and wait for Oak City's Class 4 Creation Master Clan to contact us. Let me interrupt, I've been using a book-chasing app recently. I can read books in a cache and read them offline. Then we can return to the underground palace." Lin Yuan looked at Zhou Yiren. "From now on, it will depend on your ability to see how the Haiwan main road develops. If you can help me unify the resources of the Agon continent, I don't mind helping you in the future. I think you understand what I mean." Lin Yuan's words caused Zhou Yiren's pupils to shrink. Su Yiren clenched her fists. After the shock, Zhou Yiren's eyes shone with the light of ecstasy and hope. It seemed that it was not impossible for her to take revenge. Lin Yuan's words were equivalent to giving Zhou Yiren a promise. As for whether she could capture it or not, it all depended on what she did. Zhou Yiren's heart was filled with enthusiasm. As they walked out of the tree fortress with Little Flower and Little Grass, Zhou Yiren gently opened the brocade pouch that Lin Yuan tossed over. After seeing what was in the brocade pouch, Zhou Yiren gently closed it. The corners of her mouth curled up into a joyful smile. Zhou Yiren knew that she had won the bet she had made when she was at the end of her rope. From now on, she would follow this young man in front of her. Together with this young man, she would stir up a storm in the 3 federations of the Agon continent. While Lin Yuan, Lu Jia, Ji Feng, and the others were heading to the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce, there was a huge commotion in Oak City's ruling family, the Ding family. Ever since the Ding family head became a Class 4 creation master and dominated Oak City, he had never been disturbed by a member of the family when he was nurturing Fays in the breeding room. He was called out of the breeding room to report the situation. The Ding family head endured the displeasure in his heart when he was disturbed, but he also had to be cautious. The creation master was the core of a family, and the creation master himself had absolute authority in the family. If it was a small matter, the Ding family head, Ding Qingxua, did not believe that anyone would dare to disturb him. As long as it was not a huge matter, the Elder Council could resolve it on their own. After leaving the breeding room, Ding Qingxua went to the conference room and saw that everyone from the Ding family was already present. Ding Qingxua frowned and went to his main seat. He took a sip of the fine wine that had been poured on the main seat. Ding Qingxua asked the woman sitting on his right. "Mei Yi, why did you ask little Chow to call me out of the breeding room in such a hurry? This time, I am in the breeding room to use the spiritual ingredients to concoct a type of spirit fluid that can evolve the dragon-horned mystic turtle bloodline. Fortunately, when little Chow disturbed me, I had not started concocting it. Otherwise, these spiritual ingredients that are worth close to 10 million Brahma coins would have been ruined. You know better than anyone else how rare some of the spiritual ingredients are. Why are you still so rash?" As Ding Qingxua spoke, the youth who followed Ding Qingxua into the conference room could not help but shrink his neck. The youth revealed an aggrieved expression. "I am just following my aunt's orders. No matter what, I can't be blamed for this matter, right?" The middle-aged woman called Mei Yi let out a bitter smile and said, "Husband, if I can handle this matter, I will not disturb you." This matter was sent back by Ding Jian. Let him explain the details to you. After hearing the middle-aged woman's words, Ding Qingshua looked at Ding Jian, who was not far away from him with a grave expression. After hearing the middle-aged woman's words, Ding Qingshua looked at Ding Jian, who was not far away from him with a grave expression. Ding Qingshua waved at Ding Jian and asked, "Ding Jian, what happened? Could it be that someone dares to cause trouble in Oak City?" Ding Jian revealed an awkward expression when he heard that. He recalled how the black-clothed youth had killed the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's members without hesitation. Ding Jian could not help but shiver. In Ding Jian's opinion, Lin Yuan's actions could no longer be described as causing trouble. Lin Yuan had destroyed the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's branch in the Deep Burn Federation and killed Lu Kun of the Lu family's main family. This was equivalent to drawing the hatred of the Deep Burn Federation's Lu family to Oak City. ABC. Chapter 1433. The Hermit Lu family had several Class 4 creation masters. The Ding family was not willing to offend such a force. But when he thought of the flames that burned Song Dingjin and the others, even an emperor-class expert like him could not detect the truth of the flames. It meant that the black-clothed youth's men were people that the Ding family could not afford to offend and were not worthy of offending. Ding Jian stood up and reported the situation to Ding Qingshua as much as possible. "Patriarch, the Deep Frost Trade Association's tree fortress caught fire this afternoon. Ding Kai and I went to investigate the situation as usual. In the end, we found out that the fire was not a natural disaster but man-made." Hearing this, Ding Qingshua frowned and was instantly displeased. Did the Deep Frost Trade Association's tree fortress need to be disturbed for such a small matter? Just as Ding Qingshua was getting angrier and angrier, Ding Qingshua continued. "The Deep Frost Trade Association's tree fortress was burned by a black-clothed youth. That black-clothed youth's servant has a combat power that Ding Kai and I can't sense. I speculate that the black-clothed youth's servant is at least a peak Emperor-class expert. He might even be an Emperor-class expert." Hearing about peak Emperor-class and Emperor-class, Ding Qingshua's breathing stopped. Ding Qingshua was very clear about what such powerful combat power meant. Even if it was a peak Emperor-class expert, it meant that the black-clothed youth who burned the Deep Frost Trade Association's tree fortress, there was at least a Class 4 creation master or above. If the black-clothed youth's servant really had Emperor-class combat power, there must be a Class 4 creation master behind the black-clothed youth. According to the information Ding Chao told him on the way here, the black-clothed youth had black hair and black eyes and was from the Deep Lush Federation. This black-clothed youth must be a direct descendant of one of the Deep Lush Federation's top hidden aristocratic families. For a direct descendant of such an aristocratic family to openly make a move against the Deep Frost Trade Association, could it be that he had a conflict with the Lu family? Ding Qingshua was going to find the Deep Frost Trade Association's vice president, Song Dingjin, to ask about the situation. He wanted to see if Song Dingjin knew the identity of the black-clothed youth. Ding Qingshua was only a Class 4 creation master. He might be a Class 4 creation master and could enjoy the treatment of a Class 4 creation master and become a city lord. However, Class 4 elementary creation masters were always strapped for many things. Therefore, the Ding family urgently needed to cozy up to a mid-class Class 4 creation master clan. In this way, Ding Qingshua would not only be able to receive pointers. The top battle prowess of the Ding family could also be improved by attaching themselves to powerful people. This kind of behavior was very common in the royal capital, Sacred Forest City. A pinnacle Class 4 creation master clan would have several low-class and mid-class Class 4 creation master clans as vassals. It was this relationship that made the relationships between the aristocratic families in Sacred Forest City so complicated. More often than not, the slightest move would affect the whole situation. Even if the Ding clan, which was far away in Oak City, were to cling on to an advanced Class 4 or pinnacle creation master clan in Sacred Forest City. Due to the distance, it was very difficult for the Ding clan to obtain any practical benefits. It wasn't realistic for Sacred Forest City's high-grade or pinnacle Class 4 creation masters to come to Oak City. But if he went to Sacred Forest City, he would have no choice but to abandon Oak City. Without a key figure like him, the Ding clan would definitely be unable to develop normally. Furthermore, he didn't need to pledge his loyalty to a reclusive aristocratic family in the Deep Brahmin Federation like he did to a 4-star advanced or pinnacle craftsman family in Sacred Forest City. Before Ding Qingxua could give the order to bring Song Dingjin here, he heard Ding Jian speak. That black-robed youth gave the order to kill everyone in Deep Frost Merchant Guild, including Vice President Song Dingjin. That youth's retainer also summoned 100 diamond/fantasy breed insect species phase during the battle. Speaking up to this point, Ding Jian swallowed a mouthful of saliva, shocking Ding Qingxua. Over 100 diamond/fantasy breed insect species phase. What did that mean? Forget about whether a person could comprehend hundreds of willpower runes. In order to nurture so many diamond/fantasy breed insect species phase, a creation master below the class 4 rank would probably be exhausted to death. That black-clothed youth and the Lu family behind the Deep Frost Merchant Guild were both from the Deep Brahmin Federation, yet they attacked without any qualms. Obviously, they didn't take the Lu family seriously. Ding Qingxua couldn't help but feel tempted. However, before deciding to rope in this black-clothed youth, Ding Qingxua still had to ask about some things. For example, the reason for the conflict between this black-clothed youth and the Deep Frost Merchant Guild. Ding Jian, you have said so much. Do you know the reason for the conflict between the two sides? Our Ding family is in charge of Oak City, so we have to show our attitude on such matters and give an explanation to the various factions in Oak City. Ding Qingxua didn't wish for Ding Jian to say that it was all that black-clothed youth's fault. If that was the case, even if Ding Qingxua made up his mind to rope in the black-clothed youth, it wouldn't be good to find a reason to put the blame on the Deep Frost Merchant Guild. Upon hearing that, Ding Jian replied with an indignant expression. For the past few years, the Deep Frost Merchant Guild has been using benefits that far exceed other merchant guilds to attract a large number of caravan members. In fact, the Deep Frost Merchant Guild has been killing the goose that lays the golden eggs. We have previously discussed that the number of caravans in Oak City has decreased by 1/3 over the past 2 years. This 1/3 of the caravans, excluding those that died in accidents, I'm afraid they have all been robbed and killed by the Deep Frost Merchant Guild. Upon hearing that, Ding Qingxua was instantly enraged and slammed his palm on the table. At this moment, Ding Qingxua didn't just want to put the blame on the Deep Frost Merchant Guild. Instead, he truly hated the Deep Frost Merchant Guild. The development and prosperity of a city didn't just depend on the number and standard of the creation masters in the city. The most important thing was the number of caravans that came and went. With the number of caravans decreasing by 1/3, it meant that Oak City's prosperity had decreased by 1/3. Ding Qingxua would never allow such an action that was akin to bleeding his own artery. Originally, Ding Qingxua hadn't thought of a reason to curry favor with that black-clothed youth. Now, Ding Qingxua had an idea. Ding Qingxua stood up and said, "The nature of this matter is vile. The nature of this matter is vile. I'll personally report to the Divine Wood Imperial Court about the Deep Frost Trade Association's actions in Oak City. The Divine Wood Royal Court will send someone down to investigate and see if the Deep Frost Merchant Guild's branches in other major cities have similar incidents. If there isn't, the Lu family will have to pay a huge sum of money to my Oak City for Song Dingjin's personal decision. If there is, the Royal Court will probably not allow the Lu family to set up a merchant guild in the Divine Wood Federation again." Just as Ding Qingxua made his decision and was preparing to find out where Lin Yuan was and personally meet him, Lin Yuan had already arrived at the entrance of the Flourishing Merchant Guild's tree fortress. At this moment, Li Yuan had just returned to the Flourishing Merchant Guild. She was still recalling the scene of Lin Yuan giving the order to exterminate the Deep Frost Merchant Guild. It could be said that the biggest beneficiary of Lin Yuan's action of exterminating the Deep Frost Merchant Guild was Li Yuan. Chapter 1434. Li Yuan looked at the old man beside her and said, "Elder Duan, your previous suggestion was not bad. I have already decided to find someone to rely on for the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce." Before the old man beside Li Yuan could speak, a middle-aged man walked into the room and bowed to Li Yuan and Elder Duan. "President, Vice President, the black-haired, black-eyed youth that you asked me to pay attention to has come to our Chamber of Commerce again. But this time, when that black-haired, black-eyed youth left, there were two more people, one big and one small. But this time, when that black-haired, black-eyed youth left, there were two more people with him, one big and one small. When Elder Duan saw this, he hurriedly patted Li Wan's back. After coughing for a while, Li Wan wanted to stand up and violently coughed. After coughing for a while and swallowing the fishy taste in her throat, Li Wan hurriedly walked downstairs to welcome Lin Yuan. Just as Li Wan walked out of the president's office, she bumped into a figure standing outside the door. The moment she bumped into that embrace, Li Wan smelled a fresh scent. She heard a powerful heartbeat. Li Wan subconsciously retreated, but this panicked retreat caused Li Wan to lose her center of gravity. Just as Li Wan thought she was going to fall, a thin layer of sand supported her falling body. From start to finish, the figure that she bumped into was standing there leisurely with an exceptionally calm expression. After she steadied herself, Li Wan heard a clear and pleasant voice ring in her ears. "President Li Wan, are you going out for something? When I was downstairs, the attendant at the door told me to come directly to the president's office on the 7th floor to find you." When Li Wan heard this, she thought of the fresh scent and the powerful heartbeat. For some reason, Li Wan's cheeks had a faint blush. Li Wan forced herself to calm down and said, "Please come in. Please come in. I was just about to welcome you down there." Li Wan ordered the middle-aged man who had just entered the room to report to her. "Go and bring some high-quality fruits over. Also, go to the underground level of the tree castle and bring out the best wine from the Oak City branch for our esteemed guests to enjoy." Li Wan knew that Lin Yuan did not drink wine, and the only one who drank wine was the middle-aged man beside Lin Yuan. Even so, Li Wan was still willing to take out a jar of the best wine. It was to show Lin Yuan how much importance he attached to him. The middle-aged man replied, "Guild leader, I'll make the necessary preparations right away." As he spoke, the middle-aged man could not help but glance at Su Yiren. But it was this glance that caused the middle-aged man to lose his composure. His eyes glazed over, and his face flushed red. The middle-aged man found it hard to imagine that such a stunning beauty existed in this world. Li Wan saw the middle-aged man's loss of composure, and she coughed in displeasure. Then, he nudged the middle-aged man with his palm, causing the middle-aged man to come back to his senses. The middle-aged man who refocused had an awkward expression. He hurriedly left to prepare fruits and wine according to Li Wan's orders. Despite the awkwardness, the middle-aged man could not help but glance at Su Yiren before he left. At first, Li Wan's attention was on Lin Yuan. When the middle-aged man lost his composure, Li Wan also looked at Su Yiren curiously. This middle-aged man had always been working beside him and had always been dependable. Li Wan could not think of any reason that would cause this middle-aged man to lose his composure. But when Li Wan's gaze landed on Su Yiren, she instantly felt her face blush and her heart palpitate. This feeling seemed to cause one to feel a beautiful longing from the bottom of one's heart. Then, one would be immersed in this beautiful longing indefinitely. This kind of blushing and palpitating longing made Li Wan think of Lin Yuan's fresh aura and strong heartbeat. Immediately after, Li Wan's face showed a clear red color again. This red stayed on Li Wan's face and did not fade. Su Yiren saw this and looked at Li Wan with a playful gaze. Li Wan, who was looking at Su Yiren, felt that her thoughts had been seen through. She took a step back in panic. Su Yiren's absolute love Poppy had a weakness for the same sex. That is, the love aroused by the absolute love Poppy could be transferred under certain coincidental circumstances. Li Wan obviously had thoughts about Lin Yuan, and after being attracted by the absolute love Poppy, those thoughts were magnified. It transformed into a deep sense of love. Of course, this could only happen if Su Yiren did not activate the sacred source life form, the absolute love Poppy. If Su Yiren activated the absolute love Poppy, Li Wan's body would instantly produce love desire glaze. There would be no chance for feelings to be transferred. Su Yiren let out a soft chuckle. Under the influence of the absolute love Poppy, love appeared easily. But this deep Enlightenment Federation woman's love for Lin Yuan was destined to end without a trace. It was not that Su Yuren looked down on the woman in front of her, but this woman's status was too different from Lin Yuan's. If Lin Yuan was really a young master of the Deep Enlightenment Federation's hidden grand family, Li Yuan might even end up with Lin Yuan. But Lin Yuan was not a young master of the Deep Enlightenment Federation's hidden grand family like Li Yuan thought. He was a young master of the Radiance Federation who could casually use a sacred source life form to reward others. Su Yuren knew that she could not match up to such a status. Lu Jie saw that Li Yuan's gaze was fixed on Lin Yuan and subconsciously took a step forward. She stood in front of Lin Yuan and blocked Li Yuan's gaze at Lin Yuan. Lu Jie said to Li Yuan, "President Li, our young master is not here to reminisce." Li Yuan heard this and immediately came to her senses. Then, Li Yuan's expression became somewhat complicated. Li Yuan forced herself to calm down and said, "It just so happens that I have something to discuss with Lin Yuan. It just so happens that I also have something to discuss with Lin Yuan. Let's talk inside." Su Yuren said forcefully, "If there's anything, just talk to me. If you have anything to say later, just talk to me directly. I also have something to discuss with you on behalf of the young master." On the way to the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce, Su Yuren had already asked for Lin Yuan's permission. She had taken over the Divine Wood Federation and Iron Hammer Federation's matters. After that, Su Yuren and Li Yuan interacted much more than Lin Yuan and Li Yuan. Thus, it was undoubtedly the most suitable for Su Yuren to talk to Li Yuan. Lin Yuan was also happy to be free and listen from the side. Li Yuan's gaze had previously been on Su Yuren, and she had thought that Su Yuren was like Lin Yuan, a young mistress of some hidden grand family. After all, Su Yuren did not have the temperament of a servant. Li Yuan recognized the purple caltrip crystal embedded in Su Yuren's spirit chi clothing. Purple caltrip crystals were only produced in Class 3 and above underground dimensional rifts. In Class 3 underground dimensional rifts, there were already Class 5 dimensional lifeforms that were equivalent to diamond phase. Purple caltrip crystals were very rare in Class 3 underground dimensional rifts. It was only in the Class 4 underground dimensional rift that the production would increase. 166 Reading Network. Chapter 1435. Su Yuren's spirit chi clothing had used at least 2,000 purple caltrip crystals. Such a large number of purple caltrip crystals could not have been collected from the Class 3 underground dimensional rift. Although Li Yuan could not tell what the clock-shaped earrings on Su Yuren's ears were made of. Just based on the spirit chi clothing embedded with purple caltrip crystals, it was definitely worth more than 12 million deep Brahman dollars. The price of such luxurious clothing was even more expensive than the spirit chi clothing that Lin Yuan was wearing and the sea-patterned incense burner pendant. However, a person wearing such clothing actually called herself Lin Yuan's maidservant. This made Li Yuan have a new guess about Lin Yuan's identity after she saw how he had ordered experts to kill the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. All along, Li Yuan had thought that, wearing clothing only depends on one's liking and not the price, was just a pretentious statement. Even a pinnacle Class 4 creation master wouldn't be able to do this when wearing it. But now, Li Yuan believed it. The example was right in front of Li Yuan, and she had no choice but to believe it. Even the spirit chi clothing that her subordinates were wearing was worth 10 million deep Brahman dollars. What kind of spirit chi clothing could Lin Yuan not wear? Elder Duan had been waiting at the door of the president's office. After the middle-aged man brought over the aged wine and spirit fruits, Elder Duan received them. He was afraid that the middle-aged man would lose his composure in front of Su Yuren again, so he did not let him enter the room. Li Yuan took the spirit fruits on the table and personally squeezed the juice for Lin Yuan and the others. On Elder Duan's side, he helped Ji Feng open the top-aged wine of the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce. As a result, when the aged wine was opened, there was a bit of pungent wine smell. Ji Feng said, "This aged wine should have been brewed for at least 80 years. This aged wine should have been brewed for at least 80 years. Using sour platinum spirit fruits and allowing them to fully ferment. Using the blood and marrow of a fantasy breed dragon species Fey to soak the tiger bones of a fantasy breed tiger species Fey together to extract all the odor in the tiger bones. The odor in the tiger bones and the fishy smell in the dragon bones collide, cleverly removing the sourness in the spirit fruits. The idea of this winemaker is indeed ingenious. Just with this idea, the wine will definitely be a good one. It was really good to advertise. It was worth installing. It was even supported on Android and Apple phones. Ji Feng's words caused Li Wan and Elder Duan to feel numb. The last time Ji Feng drank the elephant bone wine, he knew the ingredients after just one sip. This had already shocked Li Wan and Old Duan. Now, Ji Feng was able to accurately describe the essence of this aged wine just by the fragrance of the open jar. This meant that Ji Feng could no longer be defined as a wine connoisseur. To be able to stretch out his tongue like this, who knew how many peerless wines he had drunk and how many spiritual ingredients he had tasted? With just a whiff, one could tell the flavor of the wine from the scent of the wine. From the details, Li Wan understood how unfathomable Lin Yuan's background was. Li Wan decided not to hide her goal anymore. Li Wan looked at Su Yiren, her tone unusually serious. On behalf of the flourishing Chamber of Commerce, I would like to cooperate with you. Previously, Lin Yuan proposed to me the intention to cooperate deeply, but I don't know why he left in a hurry after proposing it. I didn't have the time to finalize the cooperation. When Su Yiren heard this, she felt that Li Wan was really lucky. Lin Yuan wanting to cooperate with Li Wan was definitely a blessing for the flourishing Chamber of Commerce. But when Li Wan did not grasp the opportunity at the start, she actually had the luck of waiting for the second opportunity to come knocking on her door. It was enough to see Li Wan's luck. However, Su Yiren did not agree with Li Wan's words about a deep cooperation. Su Yiren spoke in a calm tone. President Li should know that the term, deep cooperation, is not suitable for our young master. Cooperation is when both sides stand on equal footing, mutually beneficial, and create value together. Our young master's help to the flourishing Chamber of Commerce is visible. But I really cannot think of any tangible benefits that the flourishing Chamber of Commerce can bring to our young master. If President Li only wants to continue the discussion in the form of cooperation, then I think there is no need for us to waste our breath here. There are hundreds of chambers of commerce in the Deep Lavender Federation. The strong chambers of commerce are like dragons in the clouds, and the weak chambers of commerce are like ants on the ground. As long as our young master raises his hand, the ants on the ground can quickly rise and suppress the dragons on the ground. The pair of bronze/epic object holding walnuts earlier is enough to prove that what I said is true. Therefore, President Li needs to show sincerity that can move me before we can continue the discussion. Su Yiren's tone was calm, but the meaning in her words was unusually strong. Every sentence pointed out the crux of the matter, leaving Li Wan with no way to retreat. She could only face the problem directly. On the way here, Su Yiren had specifically asked Lin Yuan about the contents of the transaction with the flourishing Chamber of Commerce. However, Su Yiren did not know that Lin Yuan had dealt with the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. Su Yiren had only used the little information she had about the transaction with the flourishing Chamber of Commerce as a bargaining chip to force Li Wan to this point in the negotiation. This showed Lin Yuan how powerful Su Yiren was. Originally, he was here to talk about cooperation. However, after Li Wan had expressed the intention to cooperate, Su Yiren had immediately made adjustments to the plan. She had wanted to ensure the greatest benefits for her side. Just from this point alone, it could be seen that Su Yiren's talent in internal affairs was extraordinary. However, Lin Yuan was not sure if she could compare to Wen Yu. After all, the two were good at different things. Wen Yu was good at gathering information, organizing information, and coordinating resources. Zoel, on the other hand, excelled in diplomacy. Su Yiren's words had clearly provoked Li Wan's pride. Li Wan had just developed a strong sense of love for Lin Yuan. Su Yiren's words were basically telling Li Wan the distance between her and Lin Yuan. More than once, Li Wan wanted to slam the table and leave the president's office. But when she thought of the situation of flourishing Chamber of Commerce and her father's dying wish, Li Wan forced herself to calm down. Li Wan said after a series of violent coughs. The flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce is not a first-rate Chamber of Commerce. What is useful to you is only the function of the Chamber of Commerce. Either you want to invest in the flourishing Chamber of Commerce and are interested in the shares of the flourishing Chamber of Commerce. No matter which of these 2 points you value, I can only trade shares. When she said this, Li Wan had a conflicted expression on her face. Su Yiren did not disturb Li Wan. Instead, she allowed Li Wan to think to her heart's content. In the end, Li Wan took a deep look at Lin Yuan and then said to Su Yiren, "Most of the shares of the flourishing Chamber of Commerce are in the hands of the elders of the Li family. I might be the president of the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce, but I only have 40% of the shares. I can give you all 40% of the shares without holding anything back. But I have 2 requests." 166 Reading Network. Chapter 1436. At this point, Li Wan's tone became firm. "Firstly, I want to keep the management rights of the flourishing Prosperity Merchant Company. Secondly, I want to seek your help to gather the scattered shares of the flourishing Prosperity Merchant Company. After that, I can give you another 9% of the remaining 60%. Su Yiren did not immediately make a decision. Instead, she looked at Lin Yuan. It was not that Su Yiren could not make a decision, but this matter involved the internal struggle of the Li family. Whether she wanted to get involved in this mess was up to Lin Yuan. Su Yiren saw Lin Yuan reveal a trusting smile at her. Su Yiren immediately understood that Lin Yuan wanted her to make the decision for this transaction. Seeing Lin Yuan smile, Su Yiren, who had always been able to control people with love and charm, suddenly felt a little dazed. Su Yiren had never properly observed Lin Yuan before. Now, she realized that Lin Yuan's appearance was not inferior to hers. Looking at him now, she realized that Lin Yuan's appearance was not inferior to hers. Moreover, in terms of bone structure, she was inferior to Lin Yuan. Damn, I can contract the sacred source life form, absolute love Poppy. I can't even compare to Lin Yuan. Is Lin Yuan the reincarnation of an old succubus from the abyss world? While muttering to herself about Lin Yuan's appearance, Su Yiren looked at Li Wan and said, "I agree to your request. Before this, our young master will hold 40% of the flourishing Prosperity Merchant Company's shares. You will be the controller of the flourishing Prosperity Merchant Company. After this, our young master will hold 49% of the flourishing Prosperity Merchant Company's shares. The 3 major federations of the Awesomeness continent are constantly fighting, and the bandits are running rampant. It is said that there are many paths in troubled times, but your flourishing Prosperity Merchant Company, or rather, you, have chosen the most correct path. To be honest, I am a little envious of your luck." Su Yiren said this from the bottom of her heart. If she had hesitated and missed the Celestial Council, would she have a second chance to join the Celestial Council? Li Wan did not understand why Su Yiren said she was lucky. However, Li Wan could hear a strong confidence in Su Yiren's words. She did not care about the Divine Wood Federation, Deep Brahmin Federation, or Iron Hammer Federation. This strong confidence made Li Wan feel like she saw a giant beast that could easily trample over the Divine Wood Federation, Deep Brahmin Federation, and Iron Hammer Federation. Suddenly, Li Wan thought of the conflict between Lin Yuan and the Lu family. Li Wan said worriedly, "The Lu family behind the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce is much more powerful than our Li family. If the Lu family knows that our flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce has attached itself to you, they will definitely retaliate against us. The warriors of the Li family are no match for the Lu family. What do you think we should do?" Li Wan knew that Lin Yuan had experts in his hands. If this battle was fought in one place, Li Wan would not fear the revenge of the Lu family at all. However, the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce had 47 branches in the Divine Wood Federation and the Iron Hammer Federation. As long as the Lu family made a move on any of the branches of the flourishing Chamber of Commerce, for the flourishing Chamber of Commerce, this was an unbearable loss. In any case, he had already attached himself to Lin Yuan and was facing an unsolvable problem. Li Wan straightforwardly told Lin Yuan and asked for his help. Su Yiren heard Li Wan's concerns and didn't say anything. Su Yiren did not know what had happened between Lin Yuan and the Lu family. As a decision-maker, Zhou Yiren would not easily make a decision on something she was not clear about. Su Yiren did not think that there were any local factions on the Agan continent that could compare to Lin Yuan. Looking at Li Wan's worried expression, Lin Yuan spoke. As long as President Li Wan and Elder Duan do not leak the news of the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce attaching itself to me, how would outsiders know? Lin Yuan's words made Li Wan's eyes light up. In Li Wan's understanding, Lin Yuan would definitely give the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce his mark if he supported it. However, Lin Yuan did not do so. Instead, he chose to push the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce forward and be a secret promoter. As the president of the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce, she could still stand at the forefront. On the surface, all the glory that the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce obtained belonged to the Li family. For the Li family of the middle and lower class of the Deep Lush Federation, glory was something that they pursued even in their dreams. Lin Yuan's words made Li Wan's heart completely calm. As long as the Li family could enjoy glory, their status in the Deep Lush Federation would continue to rise. On the contrary, Li Wan did not care about material things. Now that Li Wan had finished talking with Lin Yuan, she needed to talk with him. Facing the resources that Lin Yuan had poured into the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce, what price should the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce use in exchange? In this transaction that involved a large amount of shares, the distribution of benefits must be clearly discussed in advance. Lin Yuan now had 40% of the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce's shares, and he would have 49% in the future. This meant that nearly half of the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce's profits would be given to Lin Yuan. If Lin Yuan poured too little resources into the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce, the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce would suffer a huge loss. If Lin Yuan poured too much resources into the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce, the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce would take advantage. Whether it was taking advantage or suffering losses, it would affect the stability of the cooperation. Therefore, the best way to solve this situation was for Lin Yuan to pour resources into the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce every time. The flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce would buy it at a certain price. This method was equivalent to the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce using 40% or 49% of the shares to buy the qualifications for Lin Yuan to pour resources into the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce. In such a situation, if the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce wanted to benefit, it had to obtain a large amount of resources from Lin Yuan. Li Wan chose this transaction method to see how much resources Lin Yuan would pour into the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce in the future. To what extent was he going to do for the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce? Upon hearing this, Lin Yuan looked at Li Wan with admiration. Since Li Wan was meticulous in doing things, Lin Yuan naturally wouldn't be stingy. Su Yiren listened to Li Wan's words while looking at Lin Yuan's expression. Su Yiren knew that Li Wan had made an excellent decision after making a correct choice. In the future, the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce was destined to leap from an ant to a dragon above the clouds in the Divine Wood Federation and the Iron Hammer Federation. The small book booth that the book friends used previously shooting now that they were basically using the Qianqian axes. At that moment, Su Yiren and Li Wan heard Lin Yuan speak. Until now, I still don't know the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce's main business direction. You can introduce it to me, President Li Wan. Upon hearing this, Li Wan was delighted. She knew that Lin Yuan was going to pour resources into the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce. The flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce's current business direction was animal fur, fine spirit plants, spirit fruits, fine wine, metal ores, and a small number of high-quality fays. The flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce's business direction had always been conventional and didn't have any outstanding aspects. Due to the lack of creation master resources in the Li family, the proportion of high-quality fays was very small. The small number of high-quality fays was used by Li Wan to curry favor with old customers. Chapter 1437. But even so, there were still many old customers who felt that the goods of flourishing Fan Chamber of Commerce were not complete and the quality was not high. Li Yuan desperately wanted to change the situation of flourishing Chamber of Commerce. Thus, Li Yuan answered Lin Yuan's question greedily. Young Master Lin, our flourishing Chamber of Commerce can buy any kind of goods and sell them on the shelves. With the success of this auction, I plan to hold regular flourishing auctions in each branch. Therefore, even if it's some strange materials, my flourishing Chamber of Commerce can still digest them. As Li Yuan spoke, she specifically mentioned the Sheng Fan auction. The purpose was to hint to Lin Yuan that he could provide more premium resources when providing resources. Lin Yuan nodded in response. Lin Yuan was not afraid of Li Yuan's ambitions. On the contrary, the more ambitious Li Yuan was, the more Lin Yuan admired her. If Li Yuan behaved like a salted fish. On the contrary, Lin Yuan had to reconsider whether he should continue to cooperate with the flourishing Chamber of Commerce. I won't provide too many supplies to flourishing Chamber of Commerce. Hearing Lin Yuan say this, Li Yuan and Elder Duan's hopeful gazes immediately dimmed. Before Li Yuan and Elder Duan could smile bitterly in disappointment, Lin Yuan continued speaking. I can send a low-class Class 4 Creation Master to be stationed in Oak City's Deep Enlightenment Flourishing Chamber of Commerce. At the same time, assign 10 Pinnacle Class 3 Creation Masters to customize the spirit fluids according to the requirements of the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce. Provide 10 pairs of bronze/epic walnuts, 200 bronze/flawless phase, and 5 bronze/epic phase every month. As for the other trivial materials, I won't provide them to the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce. Let Flourishing Chamber of Commerce deal with it themselves. Every time Lin Yuan spoke, Li Yuan and Elder Duan's eyes would widen. Both of them were shocked by Lin Yuan's words. Send a Class 4 Primary Creation Master to Oak City's Flourishing Chamber of Commerce branch to oversee it. It should be known that the leader of Oak City was also the patriarch of the Ding clan. He was just a low-class Class 4 Creation Master. As long as the Class 4 low-level Creation Master Lin Sent joined the Divine Wood Federation and was certified in the Divine Wood Royal Court, the Creation Master would be able to enter the Divine Wood Federation. A dozen years was enough to create a city as prosperous as Oak City. Furthermore, Lin Yuan didn't just send a low-class Class 4 Creation Master to the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce. There were also 10 Pinnacle Class 3 Creation Masters who worked for the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce. In Oak City, the Ding family didn't even have 12 Class 3 Creation Master clans. There was only one Pinnacle Class 3 Creation Master clan. Just the infusion of Class 3 Creation Master resources was something that the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce couldn't afford no matter how much money they had. One primary Class 4 Creation Master and 10 Pinnacle Class 3 Creation Masters might not be comparable to the Li family in terms of Pinnacle Creation Masters, but the Li family wasn't a match for them. The Li clan currently had 2 mid-class Class 4 Creation Masters and 1 low-class Class 4 Creation Master. However, the Li family only had 5 Class 3 Creation Masters. In terms of the total number of Creation Masters, it was almost the same as the number of Creation Master resources that Lin Yuan had poured in. Each of the 200 bronze/flawless phase was qualified to appear in the Flourishing Fan auction. As for the 10 pairs of bronze/epic objects storing walnuts and the 5 bronze/epic phase, they were resources of this level. Only high-grade Class 4 Creation Masters and above could nurture them. Lin Yuan was not talking about providing this quantity of bronze/epic walnuts and phase. Instead, it would be provided once a month. This meant that Lin Yuan had the resources of a high-grade Class 4 Creation Master or above. Moreover, Lin Yuan could casually instruct Class 4 Creation Masters and above to work. These were all things that the Li family didn't have. Such resources could only be allocated by Class 4 Creation Masters and above, and it was enough for the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce to reach a higher level. Li Yuan did not care about Lin Yuan's suggestion that the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce would no longer be able to provide some miscellaneous supplies. With so many good things, even if Lin Yuan gave those trivial things to Li Yuan, she wouldn't be interested in them. Lin Yuan had chosen to pour these resources into the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce every month after careful consideration. If Lin Yuan wanted to, he could provide the flourishing prosperity chamber of commerce with hundreds of bronze/epic phase every day. However, doing so would shock Li Wan first. If Li Wan dared to reveal such a huge amount of resources, the flourishing prosperity chamber of commerce would immediately become the target of the Divine Wood, Deep Brahman, and Iron Hammer federations. With such resources, the flourishing prosperity chamber of commerce would be dazzling but not eye-catching. While accelerating the flourishing prosperity chamber of commerce's development, it would also help with the construction of Su Yiren's 14 love workshops. After Master Hong Shen helped Zhang Xiaobai, Xin Ning, Tan Ran, and Lu Pinru enhance their phase in the Return from Faraway Manor. Then, he started to nurture plant phase in the underground palace. However, plant phase often had a very long growth cycle. Therefore, Master Hong Shen had been idle in the Return from Faraway Manor for nearly a month. Previously, Master Hong Shen's soul had been injured and couldn't do anything. As a result, Master Hong Shen hated this idle state. Previously, when Lin Yuan returned to the Return from Faraway Manor, Master Hong Shen had been chasing behind him. He wanted Lin Yuan to assign tasks to him. Master Hong Shen had used the Law Rune and issued an allegiance oath to Lin Yuan. He was someone that Lin Yuan could trust 100%. Therefore, he arranged for Master Hong Shen to be in the Oak City Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce's branch. Firstly, he could find something for Master Hong Shen to do. Secondly, he could also arrange for someone to be by Li Wan's side. This would allow Lin Yuan to have a precise grasp of the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce's situation. As for the 10 Pinnacle Class 3 Creation Masters that Lin Yuan arranged, they were all 100 Questions Beasts from the 100 Questions Beast Legion. He had already taught the 100 Questions Beasts that he had previously adopted. Each of them was a Pinnacle Class 3 Creation Master. In addition, Genius was now at Diamond and had the energy to teach the new 100 Questions Beasts. Therefore, the number of members in the 100 Questions Beast Legion would only increase in the future. Sending 100 Questions Beasts to serve the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce would not affect Lin Yuan's accumulation of resources. As for the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce's dividends, Lin Yuan didn't plan to ask for Brahmin coins. Instead, he planned to exchange for a large number of the Divine Wood Federation's unique production-type Fey plants. He also wanted to exchange for rare minerals that were relatively rare in the Radiance Federation. These were the resources that could truly be called strategic reserves. Speaking of this, Lin Yuan suddenly thought of something. Lin Yuan wanted to obtain a large number of object-holding walnuts that could freely travel to and from the Divine Wood Federation through the spatial tunnel. He also needed some object-holding walnut trees that were older. Therefore, Lin Yuan said to Li Wan, President Li Wan, the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce should have plenty of common plant phase like the object-holding walnut trees. I want 500 object-holding walnut trees that are more than 300 years old. Upon hearing that, Li Wan immediately said, Young Master Lin, I will immediately ask Elder Duan to bring all the object-holding walnut trees that are more than 300 years old to you. 166 Reading Network. Chapter 1438. Currently, Oak City's Flourishing Chamber of Commerce has more than 600 walnut trees that are more than 300 years old. There seem to be more than 20 walnut trees that are more than 500 years old. These 20 or so walnut trees that are more than 500 years old have all produced walnuts. If these walnuts are upgraded to bronze/epic, the walnuts produced will be about 2/5 larger than the walnuts produced by 300-year-old walnut trees. Although they are both of bronze/epic quality, the walnuts produced by a 500-year-old walnut tree are worth at least 5 million Brahmin coins more than a 300-year-old walnut tree. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan's eyes lit up. If he upgraded these 20-odd 500-year-old walnut trees to bronze/epic, he would be able to harvest at least 1,200 pairs of bronze/epic walnuts. With the harvest of 1,200 pairs of bronze/epic walnuts, Lin Feng had a huge harvest. For a long time, he would not need to nurture the bronze/epic walnut tree. These bronze/epic walnut trees could directly raise the 100 Questions Beast army to the diamond grade. It was used to increase the storage of spatial attributes spirit materials. Just as Elder Duan was about to prepare a walnut tree for Lin Yuan, someone knocked on the VIP room's door. The middle-aged man who had been staring at Su Yiren walked in again. After bowing to Lin Yuan and the others, he spoke softly to Li Wan. President, the patriarch of the Ding family, Ding Qingxua, says that he wishes to see young Master Lin. The middle-aged man's tone was filled with surprise. In the middle-aged man's memory, Ding Qingxua didn't even attend the ribbon-cutting ceremony for the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce's branch in Oak City. But now, he had taken the initiative to visit a young man. Moreover, Ding Qingxua did not take the initiative to come up after the waiter let him pass. He even insisted that he come up to inform them. It was enough to show how humble Ding Qingxua was. Li Wan could not decide on a matter like this. Li Wan looked at Lin Yuan, waiting to see what Lin Yuan would decide. In fact, Li Guan did not want Lin Yuan to meet Ding Qingxua in her heart. If Lin Yuan and Ding Qingxua negotiated a collaboration, then Lin Yuan's emphasis on the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce would undoubtedly decrease a lot. In Oak City, the power of the Ding clan was something that no other power could compare to. The Ding family could do many things for Lin Yuan that the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce couldn't. Although Lin Yuan had long known that Ding Qingxua would visit him, he was not interested in his visit. However, he had just begun to plan in the Divine Wood Federation. Building a good relationship with Ding Qingxua, the Lord of Oak City, would only be beneficial to his future plans. Ding Qingxua was a Class 4 creation master recognized by the Divine Wood Royal Court. Class 4 creation masters that were recognized by the Divine Wood Imperial Court would automatically join the Divine Wood Council and become a member of the council. Therefore, Ding Qingxua could be considered an official. If there was anything in the future, he would have to contact the Divine Wood Federation officials. Taking Ding Qingxua's path was much more stable than taking Jian Li's. Lin Yuan stood up and spoke to Li Wan. President Li, we've finished our discussion. Just give me those walnut trees before I leave. Su Yiren will send you the follow-up supplies. Since President Li and I have a relationship, it's inconvenient for outsiders to know. President Li, why don't you specially arrange a reception room for me to meet Ding Qingxua? Upon seeing Lin Yuan stand up, Lu Jia and Ji Feng also prepared to get up. At that moment, they heard Lin Yuan speak. Big brother Lu, Ji Feng, you two stay here with Xiao Hua. Xiao Chao, drink more juice. Then call the Sincere Caravan's captain, Mr. Zhao, over. After that, let the Sincere Caravan be affiliated with the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce. Our conflict with the Lu family started because of the Sincere Caravan. If the Lu family wants revenge, they will find the Sincere Caravan immediately. At that time, the people I arranged in the Sincere Caravan will solve the Lu family's problem. Upon hearing that, Lu Jia nodded and said after thinking for a while, Lin Yuan, leave the Sincere Caravan's matters to me. Yuan, leave the Sincere Caravan's matters to me. You don't have to worry about it. I think President Li Wan will be more willing to help the Qingyi merchant team in the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce than to go out and deliver supplies. In Lu Jia's heart, Li Wan was not reliable. Even if Su Yiren kept an eye on Li Wan, it was hard to guarantee that Li Wan would not have strange thoughts. There were more than 100 people in the Qingyi trade caravan, and it was hard to predict people's minds. Mr. Zhao was grateful to Lin Yuan, but it didn't mean that everyone would be grateful to Lin Yuan. He might as well place the people from the Sincere Caravan in the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce. At that time, the two of them could supervise each other. This kind of supervision could guarantee that the people's hearts wouldn't change. Hearing this, Li Wan felt conflicted. From the bottom of his heart, he was unwilling to take in the Qingyi merchant caravan. But Li Wan was in no position to refute such a suggestion. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan smiled and said to Lu Jie, Brother Lu, please take care of the Qingyi caravan. Just in time to wait for me to finish my business here. We'll go back tonight. There's only a month left. I should go into seclusion to improve myself. Upon hearing that, Lu Jia immediately thought of the Radiance 100 sequence selection that would start in less than a month. Lu Jia's expression became serious, and he said to Lin Yuan with an abnormally cautious tone, "Lin Yuan, with so many factions gathered this time, there will definitely be people who want to play some tricks. When that time comes, we'll have to rely on you and Gao Feng to hold the fort." Su Yiren, Li Wan, and Elder Duan did not know what Lin Yuan and Lu Jia were talking about. However, the three of them knew that Lin Yuan would leave Oak City tonight. Li Wan was very reluctant, while Su Yiren was looking forward to it. Su Yiren had found hope and was ready to go all out. Therefore, Su Yiren was very curious about where Lin Yuan would stay in the Divine Wood Federation. Upon hearing Lu Jia's words, Lin Yuan's expression became serious. He knew very well what Lu Jia's words meant. The Radiance Federation's majesty and the Freedom Federation's majesty would fight through the astronomical phenomenon. 2 years later, the two major federations would agree to carry out a shocking gamble. During the Radiance 100 sequence selection, the Freedom Federation's envoys would head to the Radiance Federation to observe the ceremony. Before the conflict, the Freedom Federation's envoys might not cause trouble. However, the conflict had already occurred, and the Radiance Federation and the Freedom Federation had completely fallen out. The Freedom Federation's envoys would definitely cause trouble for the Radiance Federation during the Radiance 100 sequence selection. By then, any small conflict between the two federations would implicate the faces of the two major federations. End of this chapter. Chapter 1439. According to convention, if a diplomatic group came to the Huiyao sect to attend the ceremony, they would not be able to enter the Huiyao sect. The envoys attending the ceremony could send their own Federation 100 sequence members to spar with the 10 newly selected Radiance Federation 100 sequence members. Lin Yuan and Lu Jia had previously studied if the Freedom Federation wanted to cause trouble. The best time to do so was in this sparring match. Therefore, he had to be prepared in advance. In fact, Lin Yuan wasn't worried about sparring with the Freedom Federation's 100 sequence members. Lin Yuan wanted to become a Spirit Chi professional before the Radiance 100 sequence, which was a month's time. It wasn't realistic to become an A-rank Spirit Chi professional. However, it was still possible for Lin Yuan to increase the strength of his phase to Diamond X. The news that Lin Yuan had posted in the Purchase with No Loss store had been very popular. Many experts agreed to Lin Yuan's conditions. He hoped that Lin Yuan could help his Fae survive the world cleansing through the trade. Apart from increasing the strength of Faes, the Dark Crow Withering Strike and Whale Sea Leaping Wave Strike under the Princess Sacred Sword mode had also been upgraded before the Radiance 100 sequence selection. They will all be back on cooldown. Princess was currently absorbing the World Crystal of the Prismatic Tortoise. When the princess finished absorbing the World Crystal of the Prismatic Tortoise, he still had 3 World Crystals. In a month's time, the princess would be able to absorb the remaining 3 World Crystals. At that time, he would be able to use 6 different sword skills at the same time. Furthermore, it was very likely that the princess's star level would break through from the current 3 stars to 4 stars. Obtained the second function. Calculating the time, princess should be able to finish absorbing the World Crystal of the Prismatic Tortoise tonight. Soon, Li Wan arranged a reception room for Lin Yuan. Then Li Wan had the attendant who had come to make the announcement invite Ding Qingxua, who was still waiting in front of the Tree Fortress of Flourishing Merchant Association. Su Yiren sat next to Lin Yuan and asked about the grudge between the Lu family and Su Yiren. "Young master, I think it's best if we can get closer to Ding Qingxua. The Divine Wood Imperial Court doesn't have much control over Class 4 creation masters who have territories like Ding Qingxua. As long as we can bring practical benefits to Ding Qingxua. Ding Qingxua doesn't care at all. We aren't from the Divine Wood Federation. Currently, among the direct descendants of the Ding clan, not a single one has made it into the Divine Wood 100 sequence. Ding Qingxua doesn't have the ability to enhance a high-quality bronze Fae, and the Ding family has yet to rely on a Class 4 creation master clan that is stronger than us. Therefore, it is very difficult for the Ding clan to obtain resources that are at the elementary Class 4 and above. If you can give the Ding clan a future, a chance to obtain glory, Ding Qingxua will definitely be deeply grateful to you. I plan to build the first love music workshop in Oak City. If I want the love music workshop to develop at the fastest speed in Oak City, I need the support of the Ding family. I have to establish the love workshop as soon as possible and make a name for myself. Only then can I raise the absolute love poppy's star rank to 10 within 2 years. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan flipped his hand and took out a pair of bronze/epic storage walnuts. After 2 rounds, he tossed the walnut to Su Yiren and said, "That's right. As I said, I'll leave the matters of the Divine Wood Federation to you in the future. When Ding Qingxua arrives, you'll have a chat with him. As for you wanting to rope in Ding Qingxua, you can give me any resources below the Pinnacle Class 4 Creation Master level." Upon hearing that, Su Yiren could not help but think of the things in the brocade pouch that Lin Yuan had tossed to her. Lin Yuan could casually take out a bag of law crystals that contained pure power of law. He might even be able to promise Class 5 Creation Masters resources. However, in the Divine Wood Federation, there was no need to reveal Class 5 Creation Master resources. This was probably the reason why Lin Yuan set the standard for Creation Master resources at the pinnacle of Class 4. Su Yiren was very happy that Lin Yuan trusted her so much. On the other hand, she was even more grateful to Lin Yuan. For a prodigy like Su Yiren, what she was afraid of was never that things were difficult. She was afraid that when doing things, there would always be people who would restrict her. She would not be able to act freely. Since Lin Yuan trusted her so much, Su Yiren did not want to let him down. Of course, Su Yiren also had her own motives. Su Yiren knew that only by completing the mission that Lin Yuan gave her could she recover the Dark Continent and recover the 7 dark states. Soon, Ding Qingxua arrived at the door of the guest room. He recalled that Ding Jian had mentioned that the black-clothed youth's servant was at least a pinnacle Emperor-class expert. He might even be an Emperor-class expert. Ding Qingxua's heart was filled with nervousness. As the local tyrant of Oak City, Ding Qingxua knew far better than Ding Jian what pinnacle Emperor-class experts and Emperor-class experts meant. This meant that there was at least an advanced Class 4 Creation Master behind the black-clothed youth. To Ding Qingxua, there was no difference between an advanced Class 4 Creation Master and a pinnacle Class 4 Creation Master. Regardless of whether it was an advanced or pinnacle Class 4 Creation Master, they could bring the Ding family to the next level. After taking a deep breath, Ding Qingxua knocked on the guest room's door. Ding Qingxua heard a noble female voice coming from inside the room. "Come in." Hearing the voice coming from inside, Ding Qingxua gently pushed open the guest room's door. With just one glance, Ding Qingxua was attracted by the man and woman sitting on the sofa. Ding Qingxua could not help but sigh at the appearance and aura of the youth and woman in the guest room. They could actually suppress the Divine Wood Imperial Court Saintess. This made Ding Qingxua feel that it was unbelievable. The Divine Wood Imperial Court Saintess was an existence that guarded the Holy Wood mystic realm. Her aura and appearance were all enhanced by that mighty existence in the Holy Wood mystic realm. Apart from appearance and aura, Ding Qingxua also noticed that this woman was wearing purple clothes. There was also a kind of irresistible charm to it. Ding Qingxua praised in his heart while preparing to greet Su Yiren and Lin Yuan. But before Ding Qingxua could speak, Su Yiren spoke first. "City Lord Ding, please take a seat. Our young master doesn't like to talk to strangers. You can talk to me if there's anything." Ding Qingxua was undoubtedly a smart person to be able to become a Class 4 Creation Master. Through the way Su Yiren addressed him, Ding Qingxua knew that she was a Class 4 Creation Master compared to him. She valued his identity as Oak City's City Lord more. However, Ding Qingxua never expected that the woman with the extraordinary aura in the room was actually the maidservant of this youth. She was actually the maidservant of this youth. Although Ding Qingxua was abnormally surprised, he did not show it on his face. After sitting on the sofa in a reserved manner, Ding Qingxua spoke. "I heard from the clan's elders about the Deep Frost Trade Association's situation. After I found out about the Deep Frost Trade Association's actions, I immediately reported it to the Divine Wood Imperial Court." End of this chapter. Chapter 1440. When it came to reporting the Deep Frost Association to the Divine Wood Royal Court, Ding Qingxua carefully observed Lin Yuan and Su Yiren's expressions. Ding Qingxua thought that the two of them would be delighted after hearing the news he brought. Who would have thought that he would have miscalculated? When the two of them heard the news, their expressions didn't change at all. This meant that the youth and the woman in the room did not take the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce and the Lu family behind it seriously at all. It looked like his plan to use the method of suppressing Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce to express goodwill to the youth had failed. However, Ding Qingxua continued. After the Divine Wood Royal Court investigates, the Lu family behind the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce will definitely give you an explanation. Although he had failed to express his goodwill, he still had to express his attitude. Su Yiren had specifically asked him what was going on with the Lu family. Su Yiren understood that Ding Qingxua was trying to curry favor with Lin Yuan. At the same time, Ding Qingxua was also testing their attitude towards the Lu family. Their attitude towards the Lu family could indirectly show the strength of their side. Zhou Yiren said. The people of Oak City's Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce are all dead. The grudge between us and Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce is over. If the Lu family dares to find trouble with us after this, then the Lu family should be prepared to be erased from this world. City Lord Ding doesn't need to worry about our grudges with the Lu family. Su Yiren's tone was nonchalant when she mentioned the Lu family. Su Yiren's attitude toward the Lu family made Ding Qingxua's eyes light up. Just as Ding Qingxua was about to use another method to curry favor, Su Yiren spoke up. City Lord Ding, our young master doesn't like people who beat around the bush. If you have something to say, just say it. Ding Qingxua looked a little embarrassed when he heard that. Ding Qingxua did not expect that his goodwill would be seen as a waste of time. Ding Qingxua had taken the initiative to meet Lin Yuan this time with a purpose. At present, Ding Qingxua's most urgent task was to purify his main fei, the dragon-horned black turtle's bloodline. Although the dragon-horned black tortoise had dragon horns on its head and had obtained a portion of the dragon bloodline, it was still a dragon-horned tortoise. But fundamentally speaking, the dragon-horned mystic turtle was a turtle. The turtle bloodline was also a very noble bloodline among feis. Ding Qingxua was a defense-class spirit chi professional. In terms of defense, the turtle bloodline was undoubtedly stronger than the dragon bloodline. Therefore, Ding Qingxua wanted to suppress the activation of the dragon bloodline in the dragon-horned black tortoise's body and purify and evolve the tortoise bloodline at the same time. To a Class 4 low-class creation master like Ding Qingxua, it was truly too much. This was not Ding Qingxua's first time purifying the tortoise phase bloodline. But no matter how careful Ding Qingxua was, every experiment ended in failure. This result was an extremely great burden to the Ding clan. It also allowed Ding Qingxua to see where his limits lay. In order to obtain an opportunity to improve, the simplest and most effective method was to rely on a creation master that was stronger than oneself. In the Divine Wood Imperial Court, the Holy Wood Mystic Realm that opened once every 10 years would open in another 4 months. Ding Qingxua only had the strength to make a breakthrough and rush into the top 20 seats in the Divine Wood Council. Only then would they have the qualifications to enter the Holy Wood Secret Realm. Regardless, Ding Qingxua wanted to fight for it. If he had not coincidentally obtained news from Ding Jian about Lin Yuan and confirmed that Lin Yuan had an advanced Class 4 or above creation master behind him, Ding Qingxua would not have believed it. Ding Qingxua was preparing to head to Holy Wood City next month to see if he could rely on the Ding clan's accumulation over the past few years. He wanted to see if he could get a chance to purify the dragon-horned black tortoise's bloodline in the Holy Wood City's aristocratic families without sacrificing loyalty. Only by rushing into the Divine Wood Council's top 20 seats and entering the Holy Wood Mystic Realm would he be able to obtain a plant fey with the Holy Wood bloodline. Only then would the Ding clan be able to have an unfailing legacy in the Divine Wood Federation. Ding Qingxua probed. My Ding clan has a tortoise fey whose bloodline has reached a critical stage of purification. I want to make a deal with you as long as you can help me purify that tortoise fey's bloodline. You can choose whatever you want from the Ding clan. Su Yiren's expression did not change at all. Su Yiren picked up a spirit fruit on the table and took a bite. She then shook her sleeve and revealed the bronze/epic walnut that Lin Yuan had just thrown over in her other hand. He gently played with the board. Ding Qingshua's eyes lit up when he saw the pair of red walnuts in Su Yiren's hands. Now, Ding Qingshua was sure that he had found the right person. However, the black-robed youth in front of him might not be interested in something that belonged to the Ding clan. Seeing that Su Yiren had no intention of replying, Ding Qingshua made up his mind. If you are willing to help me and give me a chance to enter the Holywood secret realm, at that time, I can lend you the plant phase with the Holywood bloodline that I obtained from the mystic realm 3 times. The app I've been using recently is supported on both Android and Apple phones. Su Yiren did not have much of a reaction to Ding Qingshua's words. Instead, Lin Yuan, who had been sitting at the side without saying anything, suddenly sat up straight and spoke. A plant fae with the Holywood bloodline? Upon hearing Lin Yuan suddenly speak and clearly express his interest in the plant phase with the Holywood bloodline, Lin Yuan's eyes widened. Ding Qingshua said with a happy face. In another 4 months, it will be time for the Holywood secret realm to open. To tell you the truth, the tortoise fae I mentioned is my main fae, the dragon-horned mystic tortoise. I, the dragon-horned black tortoise, am currently at the peak of Myth 2. I'm just a step away from breaking through to Myth 3. Only when the dragon-horned black tortoise's strength reaches Myth 3 and undergo body weaponization will I have the confidence to obtain the qualifications to enter the Holywood secret realm. The Gloom continent where Su Yiren resided was very far away from the Ageless continent. Naturally, he did not know what the Divine Wood Federation's Holywood bloodline plant phase were. However, Lin Yuan was born in the Radiance Federation, and the Radiance continent was the closest to the Agon continent. In addition, Lin Yuan's master was Her Holiness Huiyao, one of the 3 Class 5 creation masters, the Moon Empress. When Lin Yuan had contracted the Desolate Bloodline Fae, the Moon Empress had mentioned the Radiance Federation's Desolate Beast Mystic Realm to him. At the same time, it also mentioned the Divine Wood Federation's Holywood Secret Realm. The Holywood Mystic Realm produced plant phase with the Holywood bloodline. Plant phase with the Holywood bloodline might not be as powerful as phase with the Desolate bloodline because they were plants. However, in terms of ability, they were not inferior to phase with the Desolate bloodline. Among the 3 major federations of the Agon continent, only the Divine Wood Federation had a mystic realm. This was also why the Divine Wood Imperial Court of the Divine Wood Federation had such a weak control over experts. It was the fundamental reason why the Divine Wood Federation could still contend with the United Iron Hammer Federation. Among them, plant phase with the Holywood bloodline played a key role. 166 Reading Network. Chapter 1441. It could be said that Lin Yuan coveted plant phase with the Holywood bloodline. He had always thought that the Divine Wood Federation had strict control over plant phase with the Holywood bloodline. Therefore, Lin Yuan had never thought about obtaining plant phase with the Holywood bloodline. But now, he realized that he wanted plant phase with the Holywood bloodline with Ding Qingshua. It was not impossible. After realizing this, Lin Yuan replaced Zoel and took over the conversation. It's not difficult for your tortoise fae to purify its bloodline. You said that tortoise fae is called the dragon-horned mystic turtle, which means that it has the bloodline of a dragon species fae. The bloodline of a dragon species fae is an opportunity for some fish species, insect species, and snake species faes. But for tortoises and tigers, which have extremely noble bloodlines, it is a burden. If you want the dragon-horned mystic turtle to purify a tortoise fae's bloodline, the best way is to use pure spirit chi to stimulate the dragon-horned mystic turtle's bloodline and let the tortoise fae's bloodline be purified on its own. It will then devour the dragon species fae's bloodline. This is the best way to enhance and purify the dragon-horned mystic turtle's bloodline. Only Pinnacle Class 4 creation masters are able to concoct the appropriate concentration of spirit chi. Every word Lin Yuan said made Ding Qingshua's heart tighten. As a low-class Class 4 creation master, Ding Qingshua did not expect the youth in black in front of him to detect the crux of it just based on the name of his fae. However, Lin Yuan said that only Pinnacle Class 4 creation masters could concoct that concentration of spirit chi, which made Ding Qingshua feel despair. At the same time, Ding Qingxua looked at Lin Yuan as if he was expecting something. Ding Qingxua knew that the youth in black in front of him would not say so much without any basis. There must be a follow-up. At that moment, Ding Qingxua heard Lin Yuan say, "Only Pinnacle Class 4 Creation Masters can concoct pure spirit qi. I can provide you with the pure spirit qi that only Pinnacle Class 4 Creation Masters can concoct. Summon the dragon-horned mystic turtle in a while. Let me check its attributes and the laws it has comprehended. After purifying your bloodline, I can also help your dragon-horned black tortoise safely pass the world cleansing of Myth 3. In the future, we can even provide you with law crystals that are convenient for your dragon-horned black tortoise to absorb. This will allow your dragon-horned black tortoise's strength to increase rapidly after it reaches Myth 3. Lin Yuan's words made Ding Qingxua's breathing quicken. Just as Ding Qingxua's eyes turned red with excitement, Lin Yuan changed the topic. However, there are conditions for me to raise the strength of your main Fae and let you rise rapidly in the Divine Wood Council. I want the plant Fae with the Holy Wood bloodline that you obtained from the Holy Wood mystic realm. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Ding Qingxua felt as though all the blood in his body was instantly extinguished. It turned out that the black-clothed youth had suddenly spoken because he was eyeing the plant species Fae with the Holy Wood bloodline. Ding Qingxua was more willing to trade with Lin Yuan. Without Lin Yuan's help, Ding Qingxua only had a very slim chance of entering the Holy Wood mystic realm within 4 months. However, even if Ding Qingxua entered the Holy Wood mystic realm and obtained a plant species Fae with the Holy Wood bloodline, the Holy Wood mystic realm wouldn't be able to protect him. But before leaving the Holy Wood secret realm, the Holy Wood mystic realm Saintess would check if the plant Fae with the Holy Wood bloodline had been contracted. If it was not contracted, it was not allowed to be taken out of the Holy Wood secret realm. Ding Qingxua's main Fae, the dragon-horned black tortoise, had reached Myth 3 and become a pinnacle Emperor-class expert. Even if Ding Qingxua became an Emperor-level powerhouse, he would not dare to challenge the authority of the Saintess guarding the Holy Mother mystic realm. Upon seeing Ding Qingxua's expression, Lin Yuan knew that things were not as simple as he thought. At this moment, Ding Qingxua suddenly thought of a possibility. Ding Qingxua clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. He hesitated for a while before speaking. I have a way to give you a chance to obtain a plant Fae with the Holy Wood bloodline. The top 10 counselors of the Divine Wood Council can lead a junior from their clan into the Holy Wood mystic realm. Although the top 10 counselors can only take away one plant species Fae with the Holy Wood bloodline from the Divine Wood mystic realm. However, the top 10 counselors can choose to share their spoils with the younger generation of the clan, and the younger generation will carry out the contract. This rule was passed 20 years ago, the last time the Holy Wood secret realm was opened. The reason is that the top 10 counselors have all participated in the Holy Wood mystic realm and obtained a plant species Fae with the Holy Wood bloodline. It was only under the urging of these counselors that we obtained the Saintess' permission. When the time comes, you can come with me to the Holy Wood secret realm and take advantage of this loophole. It's just that it won't be easy for me to squeeze into the top 30 of the Divine Wood Council. If I want to rush into the top 10, my dragon-horned black tortoise will only have a slight chance if it reaches the peak of Suzerain/Myth 3. After all, the top 8 of the Godwood Council are all at the Emperor rank. I only have the qualifications to fight for the 9th and 10th seats. Ding Qingxua looked straight at Lin Yuan. After seeing Lin Yuan's reaction, Ding Qingxua added another sentence. Therefore, if you want to obtain a plant Fae with the Holy Wood bloodline, you can only nurture me. Upon hearing Ding Qingxua's words, Lin Yuan could not help but frown. It was impossible for him to upgrade Ding Qingxua's main Fae, the dragon-horned black tortoise, to Emperor grade. All he needed to do was pile up the law crystals that contained pure power. It was just that this kind of investment was too great. Compared to upgrading Ding Qingxua's dragon-horned black tortoise to Emperor grade, wasn't it better to use this resource to nurture Ji Feng's main Fae? However, he was very interested in plant Faes with the Holy Wood bloodline. Plant Faes with the Holy Wood bloodline could be worshipped as the Divine Wood Federation's national protection phase. It definitely had an advantage that other Faes couldn't compare to. Su Yuan turned to look at Lin Yuan and said softly, "That's right. Young master, how about I? Before Su Yiren could finish, Lin Yuan interrupted her mercilessly. Lin Yuan knew that Su Yiren wanted to use the absolute love poppy to control Ding Qingxua. It would produce the love glass in Ding Qingxua's body. Would Ding Qingxua be controlled by Su Yiren and become a loyal dog with surging love for Su Yiren? However, once Ding Qingxua was controlled by Su Yiren, how could he enter the Holywood mystic realm? When he went to fight for a seat, he would probably be discovered by other experts with sacred source life forms. By then, losing Ding Qingxua was a small matter. Losing a way to obtain plant phase with the Holywood bloodline was a big deal. Chapter 1442. In the Divine Wood Federation, the Divine Wood Imperial Court's management of the feudal lords had always been loose. However, not everyone would be like Ding Qingxua, who had no sense of belonging to the Divine Wood Federation. Even a plant fey with the Holywood bloodline could be used as a bargaining chip to trade. No matter what, Lin Yuan's investment in Ding Qingxua must not be in vain. The best way to not lose the investment of resources was to obtain Ding Qingxua's loyalty. Make Ding Qingxua his servant. Lin Yuan looked at Ding Qingxua and said solemnly, "Use the law rune of the dragon-horned mystic turtle and issue an allegiance oath to me. I'll think of a way to let your dragon-horned mystic turtle become a creation breed within 4 months." Lin Yuan's words made Ding Qingxua suddenly widen his eyes. However, in the face of such a good opportunity, Ding Qingxua did not immediately agree. This was because Lin Yuan wanted something that Ding Qingxua had always been unwilling to give up. That was freedom. Becoming an emperor-class expert was something that Ding Qingxua did not dare to hope for in this life. However, after becoming an emperor-class expert, he could not stand at the top and summon the wind and rain. Instead, he would have to be a slave and be used by others. This made Ding Qingxua feel that he might as well stay in Oak City peacefully. It was comfortable to be a local tyrant. However, if Ding Qingxua were to reject Lin Yuan now, he wouldn't dare to say it out loud. The black-clothed youth in front of him had promised to do it within 4 months. He would upgrade his dragon-horned mystic turtle, which was currently at the pinnacle of Myth 2, to a monarch-class creation breed. Ding Qingxua did not dare to believe such a promise, but he had to believe it. It was just that within 4 months, he could upgrade a pinnacle Myth 2 Fey to a creation breed. Was it really something that a pinnacle Class 4 creation master could do? Ding Qingxua was very afraid that once he refused, he would immediately be killed by the other party. The moment Lin Yuan had berated the purple-clothed woman, Ding Qingxua had felt a powerful charm. Under such extreme charm, he was afraid that his consciousness would be taken away in less than 3 seconds. Just as Ding Qingxua was in a dilemma, Lin Yuan said, "The divine wood is like a chaotic world. The divine tree is like a chaotic world. If the Ding clan finds the right direction, it's entirely possible for them to ascend to a high position in this chaotic world, gather around authority, and establish an everlasting achievement. I heard that not a single disciple of the younger generation from your Ding clan made it into the Divine Wood 100 sequence. I can equip every direct descendant of the Ding clan with 2 bronze/epic fays. You will also be responsible for all the resources for the 5 young fays from normal to suzerain/myth. This way, your Ding clan can ensure that 5 members of the younger generation will be selected into the Divine Wood 100 sequence. Whether the remaining descendants, who are equipped with 2 bronze/epic fays, can obtain the qualifications to enter the Divine Wood 100 sequence will depend on the standard of the Ding family's patriarch." The little book kiosk that the readers used before had already been hung up. Now, basically everyone was using it. If you become my subordinate, your Ding clan will not lack any creation master resources below pinnacle class 4. Think about it carefully. After saying that, Lin Yuan leaned on the sofa and didn't say anything else. Su Yiren tilted her head as she ran her fingers through her hair. She looked straight at Ding Qingxua with a purple glint in her eyes. Ding Qingxua was stunned by what Lin Yuan had just said. At present, Ding Qingxua's heart was no longer conflicted. There was only disbelief. How much wealth did the black-clothed youth promise just now? No one in the world would not be tempted by such wealth. Ding Qingxua, the founder of the Ding clan, was willing to exchange his freedom for the Ding clan's eternal achievements. Moreover, from what Lin Yuan had said just now, he didn't intend to trap him by his side as a servant. Instead, he expected to bring him to the Divine Wood's core. After thinking it through, Ding Qingxua stood up. In this flourishing Chamber of Commerce's reception room, Ding Qingxua, the most honorable person in Oak City, knelt in front of Lin Yuan with reverence. He used the willpower rune of the dragon-horned mystic turtle and devoutly swore a servant oath to Lin Yuan. After Ding Qingxua swore the loyalty oath, Lin Yuan stood up. He said to Ding Qingxua, "Summon your dragon-horned mystic turtle. During these 4 months, let your dragon-horned mystic turtle stay by my side." 4 months later, the dragon-horned mystic turtle that has become a creation breed will meet you. As for the other promised benefits, they will be placed in front of you within a month. Her name is Su Yiren. If you have anything in the future, just contact her. Upon hearing that, Ding Qingxua knelt on the ground and didn't get up. Then, he waved his hand and summoned his main fei, the dragon-horned mystic turtle. Immediately after, an ink-colored turtle with 2 horns on its head appeared beside Ding Qingxua. It was obvious that the dragon-horned mystic turtle, which had reached the peak of myth 2, didn't choose to transform into a human form. In order to express its respect for Lin Yuan, it used its main body to complete a meeting with Lin Yuan. It also carried out camouflage. In Ding Qingxua's spiritual spatial zone, the dragon-horned mystic turtle, which was connected to Ding Qingxua's mind, knew that it had ushered in a great opportunity. Its contractor, Ding Qingxua, had become Lin Yuan's servant. In front of Lin Yuan, it also had to put on the attitude of a servant. Looking at the dragon-horned mystic turtle that Ding Qingxua had summoned, Lin Yuan used Morbius True Data to investigate this dragon-horned mystic turtle. After a probe, Lin Yuan found that this water-type dragon-horned mystic turtle comprehended the heavy water law. Among the many water-type laws, the heavy water law was considered a good law. Although this dragon-horned mystic turtle's abilities were somewhat ordinary, its 3 exclusive skills were all very outstanding. It could be seen that Ding Qingxua had put in a lot of effort in nurturing the dragon-horned mystic turtle. This dragon-horned mystic turtle's dragon horns were connected to its skull, and the 2 main dragon horns had fine horn thorns. The horn thorns were also attached to a layer of fine dragon scales. This meant that the dragon species fei bloodline in the dragon-horned mystic turtle's body was not much inferior to that of a turtle species fei. Lin Yuan said to Ding Qingxua, "If you're lucky, the dragon-horned mystic turtle's turtle species bloodline will devour the dragon species bloodline. This high content of dragon species bloodline may cause the turtle species bloodline to mutate, allowing your mystic turtle to become a mutated species among turtle species feis, a black turtle." Ding Qingxua was overjoyed when he heard that, and he and the dragon-horned mystic turtle beside him expressed their gratitude to Lin Yuan one after another. Before Lin Yuan had the idea of taking Ding Qingxua as a servant. He had planned to find the law crystals of the corresponding attribute to help the dragon-horned mystic turtle improve its strength after knowing that it had comprehended the law. But now, Ding Qingxua had become Lin Yuan's servant. With the law binding Ding Qingxua, it could not betray Lin Yuan at all. Therefore, Lin Yuan did not need to hide things like law crystals from the dragon-horned mystic turtle. However, Lin Yuan could not stay in the Divine Wood Federation for a long time. He wanted the dragon-horned mystic turtle to become a creation breed within 4 months. He needed to bring the dragon-horned mystic turtle with him to nurture it. 166 Reading Network. Chapter 1443. Lin Yuan took out the artifact made from the skin and stomach of the treasure cave golden toad and said to the dragon-horned black tortoise, "Come in." After the dragon-horned black tortoise entered the treasure cave golden cicada artifact, Lin Yuan turned around and left the guest room with Su Yiren. Ding Qingxua knelt on one knee on the floor of the guest room and clenched his fists in excitement. He felt that everything that had just happened was like a dream. On Lu Jie's side, after Lin Yuan and Ding Qingxua finished talking, in less than half an hour, the Sincere E-Caravan's whereabouts were arranged. From now on, the Sincere E-Caravan's members would be completely integrated into the flourishing Chamber of Commerce. As the captain of the Sincere Caravan, Mr. Zhao and Li Wan would jointly manage the flourishing Chamber of Commerce. Of course, the decision-maker in charge of the flourishing Chamber of Commerce was Li Wan. Mr. Zhao was more of a supervisor by Li Wan's side. Lin Yuan took the walnut trees that Li Wan had placed in the diamond walnut. Looking at Li Wan, Lin Yuan said, "Nanmu City is not far from Oak City. Nanmu City is not far from Oak City. Compared to Oak City, Nanmu City is a border city that is next to the Iron Hammer Federation. There is currently no Chamber of Commerce in Nanmu City. The flourishing Chamber of Commerce can open a branch in Oak City." Li Wan did not think that opening a Chamber of Commerce in a small city like Nanmu City would be profitable. If there were, the other chambers of commerce would not have given up on Nanmu City after considering the situation there. However, since Lin Yuan had spoken, Li Wan would do it as her first priority. "I will arrange this matter immediately. Within half a month, the flourishing Chamber of Commerce's tree fortress will be established in Nanmu City." Upon hearing Li Wan's words, Lin Yuan nodded at her. Then, Lin Yuan took Lu Jia, Ji Feng, Xiao Hua, Xiao Chao, and Su Yuran out of the flourishing Chamber of Commerce's tree fortress. They rode on Blackie's back and flew toward the underground palace. As they flew, Su Yuran felt that the surroundings became more and more desolate as the black flood dragon under her feet flew. This made Su Yuran a little curious as to why Lin Yuan would set up a base in such a desolate place. However, when they arrived at the area covered by the bone lotus, Su Yuran immediately understood. Lin Yuan wanted to set up a forbidden area at the border of the Divine Wood Continent and the Iron Hammer Federation. Su Yuran did not know what Lin Yuan planned to do next. However, once this forbidden area was mobilized, it would instantly attract the attention of the Divine Wood Federation and the Iron Hammer Federation. The attention of the Divine Wood Federation and the Iron Hammer Federation had been drawn over, and the Deep Vendor Federation, which relied on trade for a living, naturally wouldn't stop. The reclusive aristocratic families of the Deep Lore Federation were bound to interfere. At that time, this forbidden area would become the Eye of the Storm of the entire Agon continent. Su Yuran was not the least bit surprised by the 4 low-class dimensional rifts that had opened up in the sea of white bone lotus flowers. Since he had built such a forbidden area, he must have come prepared. If this bone lotus flower sea fed on flesh and blood, then the alien beast tide that gushed out of the dimensional rift would undoubtedly be the best food for the Bone Federation's flower sea. Since he had replaced Lin Yuan to preside over the Divine Wood Federation's work, this place would also be his stronghold in the future. It took about 3 days for Lin Yuan to make a round trip from the underground palace. Everything in the underground palace was proceeding in an orderly manner. Hu Tian instructed the Terror Claw rock bear to make a rock slab mixed with ironwood fragments. Hu Quan instructed the spirit craftsman to work while he passionately drew the design. The ore vein gnome was lazily napping in the sun while using its talent to produce floating soft silver. It only took a little over a week. The ore vein gnome had instructed the ore spirit to dig out more than half of the fixed spirit silver ore. Lin Yuan asked Ji Feng to go to the ore vein gnome and retrieve the fixed spirit silver ore. After Lin Yuan returned to the Divine Wood Federation, he would hand it over to Zhong Zhe for production. Tonight, Lin Yuan had to instruct Su Yuran on some matters. In addition, since Hu Quan had come to the Divine Wood Federation, it had been a long time since he had had a good meal. Therefore, Lin Yuan and Lu Jia planned to have a good meal with Hu Quan tonight. They would return to the Divine Wood Federation tomorrow morning. Lin Yuan, who had spent the night in the underground palace last time, had to sleep in a tent. Now, he could sleep in the underground palace. Hu Quan had specially opened up a few rooms for Lin Yuan and Lu Jia to go back and forth to the Divine Wood Federation. Although Hu Quan had not carefully sculpted these rooms in the underground palace, he had simply laid a layer of star rock. However, a simple layer of star rock was laid on top of it, and a thick layer of cashmere carpet was laid on top of the star rock. There were a few pieces of furniture made of completely jade-textured wood and a few pots of decorative spirit plants. In terms of appearance alone, it was completely comparable to the mansions carefully built by those veteran factions in the Radiance Federation. As for the mansions that were comparable to the top factions, they could only wait for Huquan to completely sculpt them. Su Yiren felt as if a lifetime had passed since she lived in such a room. It was as if all the previous twists and turns and hardships were just fleeting clouds. It was as if she was sitting in her own palace on the Dark Continent, Lack of Desire Palace. There was also such a large bed made of completely jade-textured red sandalwood in her Lack of Desire Palace's bedroom. However, Su Yiren did not want to deceive herself. Time had changed, and she had eventually become a stray dog that had fled the Dark Continent. Everything she had now was all thanks to Lin Yuan. Otherwise, I'm afraid that I'd already be holding that rusty long dagger and dying in the garbage dump. She would have become a delicacy for insects and scavenging rats, entering the ecological cycle. As Su Yiren felt sad, she took off her luxurious clothes that were embedded with purple caltrop crystals. She changed into a long purple gown embroidered with albizia flowers. This purple gown embroidered with albizia flowers added a touch of gentleness to Su Yiren's heroic spirit. She realized that strands of hair kept sliding down her neck and covering her eyes. Su Yiren took out a hair clip made from the bud of a myth-breed sunset face flower. The bud of the sunset face flower was about to bloom, and it was pinned to Su Yiren's dyed black hair. The light weight of the hair caused the bud to spin open, and it bloomed into a dark purple trumpet-shaped flower. The sunset face flower bloomed in the morning and fell in the evening, often withering before it saw the light of day. Such a sunset face flower added a touch of sadness to Su Yiren, who had no extra decorations on her body. It was this sadness that made Su Yiren look like a seductive honey medicine. While Lu Jia was cooking outside the underground palace, Lin Yuan could not wait to return to the Spirit Lock spatial zone. Just now, Princess' voice rang out in the depths of Lin Yuan's soul. Master, I have finished absorbing that big turtle's world crystal. Lin Yuan was very curious about what kind of sword skill would appear after Princess absorbed the prism turtle's world crystal. He added a sentence. It's really not bad. It's worth it. So far, Lin Yuan had obtained a total of 6 world crystals. It could be said that the prism turtle's world crystal was the most special one in Lin Yuan's hands. When he reached the Spirit Lock spatial zone, Lin Yuan summoned the princess. Lin Yuan found that there were no changes to Princess' skirt. However, there were dark raven insignia and giant whale insignia on Princess' chest. A new silver turtle insignia appeared. 166 Reading Network. Chapter 1444. After observing the changes in Princess Royal's appearance, Lin Yuan used Morbius True Data to investigate. He then used Morbius True Data on the princess to investigate her. Sacred Source Species, Source Species / Sacred Source Species, Origin Family / Sacred Source Species, Sacred Source Star, 3 stars, Sacred Source Type, Main Water / Miscellaneous Support Functions Frowny Face Princess Form, 1 Princess Royal's Skirt, extract the Willpower Rune from Dead Phase or Source Type items. Engrave the willpower of the Dead Fantasy Breed Phase Willpower Rune or Myth Breed Law Crystal's Law Rune on Princess Royal's skirt. At the same time, the Law Crystal that has been extracted will become a Law Crystal containing pure power of Law. Sacred Sword Form, 1 Sacred Sword's Blade, the blade pierces the skirt and consumes the body's spirit chi to release the same type of law and willpower stored in the skirt. Sword Skill, Dark Death World Raven Withering Strike, inject all the power in the Dark Death World into the Holy Sword. The blade of the Holy Sword will split into 28 ravens imbued with the power of Dark Death. The contestant will swing the Holy Sword to strike the 28 ravens 28 times. If the 28 strikes form a combo, each combo will trigger an additional layer of withering effect. Every 14 layers of withering will cause a withering attack on the target. The 56 withering effects formed by 28 perfect combo will cause the target to enter a true withering state. Sword Skill, Vast Water World Whale Sea Leap Wave Strike, inject all the power of the vast water world into the Sacred Sword, and the Sacred Sword will obtain the power to control water. The sword skill will be reduced or enhanced according to the current environment and size of the water body. The contractor can brandish the Sacred Sword to summon a huge whale in the water body. The huge whale will jump out of the water and launch a fierce attack. During the attack, the owner of the sacred sword can decide to summon the huge whale, allowing the huge whale and the huge waves created by the huge whale to freely switch between water and ice. Sword skill, simulated world silver turtle mirror strike. Inject all the power of the simulated world into the sacred sword, and the sacred sword will obtain the ability to copy attacks. It can copy other sword skills from the sacred sword and use it against the enemy. The enemy's attack will not be stronger than the silver turtle mirror strike. During the duration of the sword skill, the wielder can decide when to release the absorbed attack. At a glance, Lin Yuan realized that after the princess absorbed the prism tortoise's law crystal, his elements were still water element and miscellaneous elements. It was no wonder. There were 2 world creation veins in the realm crystal of the giant ocean whale. There was only 1 world crystal in the prismatic tortoise. The prism tortoise was an earth-type fae. If the prism tortoise law crystal had more creation earth veins than the deep-sea giant whale law crystal, in that case, the princess's element should have changed from the current main water element/auxiliary mixed element to the main earth element/auxiliary mixed element. Immediately afterward, he went to check the newly acquired sword skills in Princess Sacred Sword mode. He discovered that after absorbing the world crystal of the prismatic tortoise, the new sword skill obtained in the Princess Sacred Sword state was called Silver Tortoise Mirror Strike. When he saw true data, the sword skill Silver Tortoise Mirror Strike was introduced. He decided to use the world creation golden beads he had to upgrade Princess Luo Kun's simulated world, to increase the power of his Silver Tortoise Mirror Strike. In Lin Yuan's opinion, the Silver Turtle Mirror Strike was a very versatile sword technique. He had to rely on his stored sword skills to determine the focus of the Silver Turtle Mirror Strike. When at sea, the power of the whale sea leap wave strike would be enhanced by the sea and receive a huge increase. In the past, when Lin Yuan faced an enemy, he could only use the whale sea leap wave strike. Now, he could use the Silver Turtle Mirror Strike on the sea and store the whale sea leap wave strike. He could use 2 strikes at once. If he stored the Dark Crow's Withering Strike, he could use it twice in a row. He could turn the blade into 56 Night Crows with the power of Dark Death. Each of the Night Crow's attacks would trigger a layer of withering effect on the target, and the 14th layer would cause a withering strike on the target. The effect of the 28th perfect combo would cause the target to enter the state of true withering. In the process of battle, if the enemy was too strong, no matter how strong Lin Yuan's martial arts skills were, he still could not guarantee a successful combo every time. However, if he used the Dark Crow's Withering Strike twice, no matter how the enemy dodged, Lin Yuan could easily use the True Withering effect. This True Withering effect was a divine skill that restrained plant phase. It could be said that he was using the Silver Turtle Mirror Strike to store Lin Yuan's original sword skill. It was the same as increasing the power of the original sword skill's effect with 2 attacks. If Lin Yuan did not use the Silver Turtle Mirror Strike to store Lin Yuan's original sword skill and instead used it to absorb the enemy's damage, it was the same as having a perfect defense when facing a powerful attack. Afterward, he could also return the absorbed attack, which was the same as enriching Lin Yuan's offensive means. Therefore, no matter how the Silver Turtle Mirror Strike was used, it would be a huge improvement to Lin Yuan's strength. The princess threw a world crystal that had been purified from a world crystal to Lin Yuan. She pouted and looked at Lin Yuan eagerly. Her small head kept looking at the amber button-shaped diamond face storage box on Lin Yuan's sleeve. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan immediately knew that the princess was waiting to eat the other 3 world crystals. Lin Yuan thought to himself, "The princess is really greedy and can't stop for a moment." Lin Yuan immediately took out the other 3 world crystals from the diamond face storage box. The remaining 3 world crystals were the wood-type Holy Healing World Crystal in the Holy Healing White Deer's body, the fire-type Scorching Sun World Crystal in the Fierce Sun Dragon Lizard's body, the dark-type Shadow Binding World Crystal in the Shadow Binding Mysterious Snake's body. Among these 3 law crystals, the Saint Healing World Crystal was absorbed by the princess, and Lin Yuan should have obtained a healing-type sword skill. The Scorching Sun World Crystal was an elemental power offense-type sword skill. The shadow-binding world crystal should be a control-type sword skill. Although Lin Yuan did not need to use the sword skill in a short time, he still chose to let the princess absorb the Saint Healing World Crystal first. However, Lin Yuan still chose to let the princess absorb the Saint Healing World Crystals that he needed the most. It would take the princess 7 days to absorb the World Crystal. Fortunately, the princess didn't delay her absorption of the Law Origin Crystal while she was absorbing the World Crystal. Therefore, with the World Crystal to absorb, the princess's star class would only increase faster and faster. After checking the princess's new sword skill, Lin Yuan confirmed the next World Crystal for her to absorb. Lin Yuan had more important things to do. That was to let the princess use the Earth Vein golden beads that he had obtained but had not had time to use. He would let the princess use these Earth Vein golden beads to increase the quality of the Law World. Lin Yuan took out a total of 15 Earth Vein golden beads that he had collected. Most of these Earth Vein golden beads were absorbed by the Pure Land of Bliss when he helped the Miao family nurture the Emperor-class experts. 166 Reading Network. Chapter 1445. Lin Yuan did not show any mercy to the Miao family's Emperor-class experts. The Miao family's Emperor-class Fae had evolved into a creation breed and obtained a creation Earth Vein. He had used Morbius' exclusive skill, Pure Land of Bliss, to absorb them all. The princess had long coveted Lin Yuan's Earth Vein golden bead, but Lin Yuan had not decided which Law World he wanted to enhance. That was why the princess had never eaten it. When the princess saw Lin Yuan taking out the Earth Vein golden bead, she stretched out her finger. He gently touched the Earth Vein gold beads on his palm. She was like a little girl who had seen a delicious candy and was begging her father to let her have one. Upon sensing the princess' desire, Lin Yuan said to her, "Don't worry. Princess, take these Earth Vein golden beads and digest them. Do your best to improve the simulation world." The princess's eyes sparkled when she heard that. "Master, when I absorbed the Law Origin Crystal previously, I stored all the source-type energy because you didn't ask me to strengthen the laws. Every world creation golden bead will form the embryonic form of a world creation geographical vein when it is integrated into the world of laws. After that, I only need to use the source energy to refine the embryonic form of the world creation earth vein, and the embryonic form of the world creation earth vein will slowly grow into a complete world creation earth vein. Of course, you can also save the source energy and absorb more earth vein golden beads. That way, you can also form a complete earth vein of creation." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan chose the former without hesitation. Compared to the earth vein golden bead, it was undoubtedly much easier for him to obtain the Law Origin crystals. Of course, it was not difficult for him to obtain the earth vein golden bead. He gave a Law crystal to those Fays that had been stuck at the peak of Suzerain X/Myth 3 for several years and had been unable to advance. Those Fays that had been stuck at the pinnacle of Suzerain/Myth 3 for several years had a high chance of breaking through and ushering in the creation tribulation. Among the Radiance Federation's major factions, there were many Pinnacle Emperor-class experts with Pinnacle Myth 3 Fays. Therefore, he could harvest other factions and earth vein golden beads like he had harvested the Miao family's leeks. This method of obtaining the earth vein golden bead would not incur the hatred of the earth vein Fae that had absorbed the creation Fae. Instead, they would be grateful for obtaining these Fays. This was definitely a win-win choice for Lin Yuan. Princess had already chosen 7 earth vein golden beads and fused them into Princess Luo Chang's simulated world. The moment the 7 earth vein gold beads were absorbed by the princess, Lin Yuan suddenly realized something. The silver turtle emblem on the princess's lapel originally only had an obvious golden thread on its back. And now, on both sides of this obvious golden thread, 3 silhouettes of golden threads appeared on the side. 4 silhouettes of golden threads appeared on the side. This meant that in Princess Luo Kun's simulated world, there was a complete Genesis earth vein. Another 7 embryonic earth veins of Genesis appeared. After absorbing the earth vein gold bead, the princess opened her eyes and said to Lin Yuan, "All right, let's go. Master wants to use source energy to condense the embryonic form of the Genesis Terra Meridians, but it's much slower than raising the nomological power. I don't know exactly how much source-type power is needed to condense a Genesis Earth vein before I can do it. When Lin Yuan heard this, he shook his head at the princess, indicating that he was in no hurry. This kind of thing couldn't be rushed even if he wanted to. Since the princess had absorbed the 7 Earth vein golden beads, she was currently focusing on strengthening the simulation rules. Lin Yuan didn't let the princess absorb the Earth vein golden beads and strengthen the other nomological worlds at the same time. If the other nomological worlds didn't improve, the power of the corresponding sword techniques wouldn't be enhanced. However, to condense the Genesis Earth vein, a large amount of source energy was needed, and source energy was limited. Strengthening 2 nomological worlds at the same time was equivalent to splitting the original efficiency in half. Doing so would not improve the Silver Turtle Mirror Strike stored sword technique. However, it would allow Lin Yuan to absorb the enemy's attacks to the greatest extent. After Lin Yuan was done with the princess, he wasn't in a hurry to strengthen those newly obtained walnut trees. He had obtained a total of more than 600 walnut trees from Li Yuan. He couldn't finish strengthening them in a short time. Therefore, Lin Yuan summoned the flower branch rat that he had captured when he had met Su Yiren. Lin Yuan was going to strengthen this flower branch rat. He was going to let this flower branch rat, which couldn't even be considered a fey, evolve into a longevity rat. However, as Lin Yuan injected spirit chi into this flower branch rat, the more he looked at it, the more he felt that there was something wrong with it. This was because the previous flower branch rat had been evolving into a longevity rat as its fur kept shedding and growing. The color of the flower branch rat's fur had been changing from brownish gray to bright orange red. Now, the color of this flower branch rat's fur was changing to brownish black. Lin Yuan suppressed his doubts and continued to strengthen it. In just half a minute, that flower branch rat, which was originally the size of half a palm, had become a huge purplish-black rat that was 40 centimeters long in Lin Yuan's hand. 2 abnormally sharp front teeth could be seen protruding from its mouth. Its hairless tail grew long fur, and its shape became flat. It looked a little like a mink fey. It could be said that this purplish-black rat in Lin Yuan's hand was almost comparable to the fattest fat orange in the 100 Questions Beast Legion. Lin Yuan immediately used true data to check this purplish-black rat. With one look, Lin Yuan realized that this purplish-black rat was called a flower branch rat. It wasn't the longevity rat that he had enhanced previously. Lin Yuan immediately reacted. He must have enhanced the flower branch rat twice. Among the 2 flower branch rats, one had mutated. As for whether the flower branch rat's evolution into a flower branch rat was a normal evolution or the flower branch rat's evolution into a longevity rat was a normal evolution. Spread the word. I've been using it recently. Lin Yuan didn't need to think to know that the flower branch rat's normal evolution direction should be a flower branch rat. The longevity rat was a mutation that he had coincidentally encountered by chance. However, any mutation, even if it happened by chance, could be traced. The flower branch rat could mutate into a longevity rat previously, which meant that its body had the mutated longevity rat's gene. However, the amount of this gene was very small, and it was recessive and very difficult to activate. Therefore, as long as Lin Yuan continued to enhance the flower branch rat, it wasn't impossible to coincidentally enhance another longevity rat. Thinking of this, Lin Yuan was prepared to give an order to Su Yiren before returning to the Radiance Federation. He asked her to arrange for the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce to search for a large number of flower branch rats for him. The longevity rat that the flower branch rat mutated into did not have the ability to attack. However, the flower branch rat that evolved into a flower branch rat was a powerful combat class fey. It had black and shiny fur and was not small in size, be it in terms of fur or contract. It was a good choice for the Divine Wood Federation's Spirit Chi professionals. 166 Reading Network. Chapter 1446. The Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce could sell all the useless flower martins that Lin Yuan had enhanced. The Divine Wood Federation's Spirit Chi professionals would probably welcome the appearance of the martin. He stored the newly enhanced flower sculpture mouse into the diamond face storage box. He came to the Pure Land of Bliss and checked the black spirit peony that had been planted there. When helping the mother of Bloodbath awaken the celestial jade spider bloodline, Lin Yuan had used up more than half of the 500 spirit-containing peony buds. Now the flower buds that had been used up had all grown back. After absorbing spiritual energy for more than a week, these newly grown flower buds of the nightmare spirit peony were all in a half-open state. In another 5 to 6 days, the newly grown flower bud would completely close. At that time, Lin Yuan would be able to pluck the flower buds and store them. At that time, he would hand it over to his master, the Moon Empress. The black spirit peony flowers that had not been used when helping the mother of Bloodbath awaken the Sky Corona Jade Spider bloodline. Now, they were all closed, forming a fist-sized flower bud. Lin Yuan had come to the pure land of bliss to pluck these completely closed flower buds. After the flower of the spirit-containing peony was full of spiritual qi, if it was not taken down by someone, the black spirit peony could no longer produce new flowers. This was equivalent to a waste of resources in the spirit lock spatial zone. It took Lin Yuan almost an hour to pick the flower buds of over 200 spirit-containing peonies. Looking at the time, Lu Jia should have already prepared dinner. Lin Fan left the spirit lock spatial zone and returned to his room. After changing into a set of clean clothes, he opened the door and walked out of the room. Coincidentally, he met Su Yiren, who had just come out of her room. As he looked at Su Yiren, who was wearing a thin, light purple dress, he felt that she looked more charming in her casual clothes than in her luxurious ones. Su Yiren's features were handsome, and her temperament was like that of a seductive poppy. If she were to wear fancy clothes, the accessories on the clothes would subtly diminish Su Yiren's alluring aura. Su Yiren saw Lin Yuan and hurriedly took 2 steps forward to his side. She said softly to Lin Yuan, "Lin Yuan, thank you." Upon hearing Su Yiren thank him, Lin Yuan raised his brows in surprise. "Thank me for what?" Su Yiren's face fell when she heard that. He looked at Lin Yuan with some surprise, thinking that Lin Yuan was joking with him. "What else can I thank you for?" "Thank you for saving me when I was in danger. Thank you for giving me hope to survive. Thank you for giving me a purpose and motivation to live on. Thank you for giving me that bag of law crystals. It allowed me to see the possibility of revenge." Su Yiren could thank him in person, but she was too embarrassed to say why she wanted to thank him. No matter what, Zhou Yiren was a girl. It was too embarrassing to ask Su Yiren to personally explain why she was thanking him. Upon seeing his inquisitive expression, Su Yiren immediately knew. Lin Yuan, a prodigy from the Radiance, was essentially a stinking straight man. Su Yiren hurriedly averted her gaze and pondered for a moment before speaking. "Thank you for the bag of law crystals." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan revealed a look of understanding. So Su Yiren was thanking him for that bag of law origin crystals. Speaking of the bag of law crystals, Lin Yuan happened to have something to tell Su Yiren. "You're an A-rank spirit chi professional. You haven't reached S-rank yet, but your phase strength has reached Suzerain/Myth I. This means that you've gone through the role grade. You don't have to use the bag of law origin crystals I gave you sparingly. Spiritual type, soul type, and psychic law crystals are too rare, and such spiritual ingredients are relatively rare. You don't have to wait for the love enchanting poppy to reach Myth 2. Let it absorb the law crystals. I have a lot of law crystals here. You can find me again when you're finished. If one day your strength surpasses the 7th page war, you can take back the Dark Continent by yourself. You don't need anyone's help to take back the Dark Continent by yourself." Upon hearing that, Su Yiren was shocked and touched. Su Yiren was shocked that Lin Yuan said that he had a lot of law crystals. Was that something a human would say? Were the 3 Class 5 creation masters of the Radiance all working for Lin Yuan? If there was only one Class 5 creation master working for Lin Yuan, then Lin Yuan could not have so many law crystals on hand. As for gratitude, it was because Lin Yuan allowed her to use the law crystals at will. Even if the love enchanting poppy was at Myth I, it would be a waste to use the law crystals. Even if her grandmother was still alive, this was all she could do for her. She had issued an allegiance oath to Lin Yuan and established a connection with the Celestial Council's Corona Australis. Under such dual control, Lin Yuan could completely treat himself as a tool to be used. He could squeeze out all her talent. However, Lin Yuan did not do so. This made Su Yiren, who had no relatives and was alone, feel a sense of belonging to Lin Yuan and the underground palace under her feet. At the same time, Su Yiren agreed with what Lin Yuan had said. One's own strength was the absolute truth. However, the seventh page war was not a human but a plant fae. The absolute love poppy's charm ability on plant faes was much weaker than that of humans. Moreover, the seventh page war had 2 sacred source lifeforms. At least one of them was a 10-star sacred source lifeform that could trigger a celestial phenomenon. Moreover, the seventh page war could kill all of his grandmother's faes within 100 moves. It proved that 7th Page War's strength had definitely reached that level. This made Su Yiren feel a deep sense of helplessness. At that moment, Su Yiren heard Lin Yuan continue speaking. If you comprehend a new willpower rune during the process of raising the sacred source lifeform star rank, I will provide you with bronze/legend love framing poppy. The gap can be closed with hard work. As a gloom envoy, you should know that no matter what, you should never stop running. Upon hearing that, Su Yiren, who had been a little discouraged, clenched her fists tightly. Even if the chances were slim, he still had to try. Otherwise, how could he face his grandmother? How could he be worthy of old he who died to protect him? And the people of the 7 dark states who were currently living in the heat? Su Yiren said softly after a moment of silence. Lin Yuan, I wish to make a trip to Oak City tomorrow. Firstly, I don't have anything to do in this underground palace. After all, this forbidden area hasn't taken shape yet. Secondly, I wish to choose 14 exiled women from the abandoned district of Oak City. Nurture them into 14 millet fruits. In fact, it was very easy for Su Yiren to nurture 14 millet fruits. She could find people anywhere. Su Yiren could even use the relationship between the flourishing Chamber of Commerce and the Ding family to find 14 talented young women. However, Su Yiren did not do so. ABC Chapter 1447 Su Yiren had been redeemed in Oak City's abandoned city district. She had seen light in that abandoned gray world. Therefore, Su Yiren wanted to redeem others in the same place. In addition, the women exiled from the abandoned city district were generally strong-willed. They had tenacity and strength that ordinary women could not compare to. Such women would become the 14 millet fruits and go to the 14 cities to build love houses. On one hand, they would be able to stay true to themselves when facing the temptations of the world. On the other hand, their bitter experiences would let them know that they had to constantly improve their dancing and singing skills. Su Yiren did not care about the appearance of the 14 women that she had chosen in the abandoned city district. The moment the absolute love poppy used its ability to contract them as millet fruits, these women's appearance and aura would change under the absolute love poppy's transformation. They would all become beauties that could charm all living beings. Lin Yuan naturally would not object to Su Yiren's request to search for the 14 millet fruits tomorrow. The distance between the underground palace and Oak City is almost 2,000 li. You don't have a contract with a flying fae, so it's not convenient to go back and forth. I'll prepare a pinnacle diamond snow-necked swan for you tomorrow morning. Although the snow-necked swan doesn't fly as fast as Blackie, it's enough to go back and forth between Oak City and the underground palace. Lin Yuan currently used pure spirit chi to enhance a pinnacle diamond snow-necked swan, and it would take at least half a month. Therefore, Lin Yuan could not personally nurture a pinnacle diamond snow-necked swan. However, Genius and the 100 Questions Beast Legion could. There were many high-quality bronze fays in Lin Yuan's diamond fay storage box. He had caught these fays a few months ago when he went to the endless forest for wild harvesting. He had long since enhanced them, but he had not found a suitable home. Among these fays, the most suitable for a flying fay was the snow-necked swan. However, this snow-necked swan was still at bronze/epic. Of course, after handing it over to Genius, this bronze/epic snowneck swan would become a diamond X/legend existence the next morning. Su Yiren wanted to express her gratitude again, but Lin Yuan stopped her. However, she suddenly remembered that Lin Yuan had asked her why she wanted to thank him. She was afraid that he would ask the same question again after thanking her. As a result, Su Yiren did not even thank him this time. Since he had become Lin Yuan's subordinate, it was better to do things for Lin Yuan than to thank him. As soon as he walked to the entrance of the underground palace, he smelled the alluring barbecue aroma. Upon smelling the aroma of the barbecue, Lin Yuan's stomach instantly growled. Lu Jie roasted a whole platinum blackback mountain boar. It was not easy to nurture a blackback mountain boar to the platinum level. However, the deliciousness of the platinum blackback mountain boar was simply incomparable to the silver and gold blackback mountain boars. The platinum blackback mountain boar that Lu Jie roasted weighed at least 100 kilograms of meat. Lin Yuan and the others simply could not finish it. Lu Jie was currently sprinkling sea salt and black pepper on the golden-yellow blackback mountain boar. Xiao Hua and Xiao Chao stood beside Lu Jie and stared at the sizzling blackback mountain boar. Xiao Hua was fine, but he kept swallowing his saliva. Xiao Cao's saliva directly flowed out of the corner of her mouth and dripped from her chin onto the white lapel of her clothes. It formed a fist-sized saliva stain on the white lapel. Hu Quan held a brush and kept brushing honey juice on the blackback mountain boar's buttocks. Compared to the petrol black pepper flavor, Hu Quan still preferred the honey flavor. Among the blackback mountain boar's meat, Hu Quan was most interested in the firm back mound meat. Looking at this huge blackback mountain boar, Lin Yuan said to Hu Quan, "Uncle Hu, go and call Hu Tian and those spirit craftsmen over." "Uncle Hu, go and call Hu Tian and those spirit craftsmen over. I'll leave half of this blackback mountain boar for them. Everyone has worked hard for so long. Come and have a good meal." Upon hearing that, Hu Quan, who was brushing honey juice on the back mound meat, stood up and said to Lin Yuan with a smile, "Okay. I'll call that group of brats and that Hu Tian, who only knows how to slack off at work, to come over for a meal." Hu Quan was a boorish person and had never bothered with trifles. Even if he was reading a book, he would never do it behind anyone's back. However, even a boorish person like Hu Quan understood how big the gap between Lin Yuan and those spirit craftsmen was. At that moment, Lin Yuan could think of those ordinary spirit craftsmen and was willing to call them over for a meal. It was enough to see that Lin Yuan was a person who could empathize with his subordinates' hard work. Lin Yuan's entire body was glowing, making it difficult for Hu Quan to shift his gaze away. In less than half an hour, this blackback mountain boar, which weighed more than 100 kilograms, was eaten by everyone until only the bones were left. One of the thighs was being held by Hu Tian, who was gnawing on the tendons attached to the bones with a crunching sound. Hu Quan glared at Hu Tian fiercely. This Hu Tian relied on the fact that he was an emperor-class expert and could circulate spirit qi to speed up the digestion. He ate at least 80 kilograms of meat and went to the toilet 3 times in between. How could someone be so shameless for the sake of eating? Xiao Hua and Xiao Chao had never eaten such a delicacy. Lin Yuan was afraid that Xiao Hua and Xiao Chao would have indigestion, so he specially took out some sweet and sour plums when they were eating the meat. Lin Yuan and the people in the underground palace were happily eating the blackback mountain boar. However, it was currently a cold winter on the Deepwood Federation's side. The Divine Wood Federation's 4 seasons were hot, and the Iron Hammer Federation's further north, the weather got colder. In the central region, the Iron Hammer Federation's weather had already started to snow. However, to the north of the Iron Hammer Federation, the Deepwood Federation was by the sea. It was covered in ice and snow all year round. It was precisely because of this climate that the Deepwood Federation's land was not suitable for growing food. This allowed the people of the Deepwood Federation to embark on the path of establishing merchant associations and caravans. It was also because the Deepwood Federation's spirit qi professionals chose this path that the Deepwood Federation's wealth became the top of the 3 major federations in the Agon continent. Those reclusive noble clans that controlled the Chamber of Commerce were all extremely wealthy. Among them, 4 of the Deepwood Federation's hidden noble families were the most powerful and the most mysterious. Most of the hidden noble families had received funding from these 4 hidden noble families. Of course, the funding from these 4 hidden noble families wasn't free. Most of the Deepwood Federation's hidden noble families had their shares taken by these 4 hidden noble families. These 4 reclusive clans had absolute authority in the Deep Vendor Federation. However, at this moment, the family heads of these 4 hidden noble families were all kneeling in front of a strange bloody ball of flesh. On the throne that was embedded with jewels, the strange ball of flesh that was badly mutilated was trembling slightly. Cold sweat covered the foreheads of the 4 great reclusive clans as they knelt on the ground. Their faces were filled with terror. ABC.